Ryan Mercer's hands trembled as he stared across the restaurant table, his worst nightmare materializing in designer heels and a perfectly tailored suit. The woman his sister promised would be perfect for him wasn't some kind stranger. She was Olivia Bennett, the ice-cold CEO who'd torn apart his presentation just yesterday. The same executive who made grown men sweat during budget meetings. Their eyes locked in mutual horror as recognition dawned. This wasn't a blind date. This was corporate warfare dressed up as romance, and neither of them was backing down without a fight. If you want to see how this disaster unfolds, stick around until the end, hit that like button, and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The fluorescent lights of Meridian Logistics buzzed overhead like angry wasps as Ryan Mercer dragged himself through the warehouse entrance at 6:47 p.m., 17 minutes later than he'd promised Ava's babysitter. Again. His steel-toed boots echoed against concrete floors still sticky from the afternoon's loading dock incident. Someone had dropped an entire pallet of industrial lubricant, and the cleanup had eaten 3 hours nobody had. Ryan's phone vibrated for the 14th time in his pocket. He didn't need to check it. His sister Morgan had been relentless since Monday. "Just one date," she'd begged over Sunday dinner while Ava colored at the kitchen table, completely absorbed in turning a princess's dress purple. "Ryan, you haven't been out with anyone since—" "Don't." He'd cut her off with a look that could strip paint. They both knew what came after that sentence, and neither wanted to say it out loud in front of his daughter. But Morgan was nothing if not persistent. She'd worn him down the way water wears down stone, slowly, methodically, until Thursday afternoon when he'd finally muttered, "Fine," just to make her stop talking about it. Now, sitting in his decade-old Honda Civic in the employee parking lot, Ryan seriously considered just driving home and dealing with Morgan's disappointment later. The dashboard clock read 6:51 p.m. He had exactly 39 minutes to get home, shower away the smell of diesel fuel and cardboard dust, convince Ava that yes, Daddy really did have to go out tonight, reassure Mrs. Chen from 4B that he'd be back by 10 at the latest, and somehow make it across town to Bellamy's, the kind of restaurant where they probably judged you for not knowing which fork to use first. His phone lit up again. Morgan's face filled the screen, her contact photo showing her mid-laugh at last year's 4th of July barbecue. "I swear to God, if you're thinking about bailing," she started the second he answered. "I'm not bailing." Ryan rubbed his free hand across his face, feeling 3 days of stubble he hadn't had time to shave. "I'm sitting in my car, covered in God knows what, trying to remember why I agreed to this. Because you're 32 years old, and the only dates you've been on in the last 3 years are the ones Ava arranges with her stuffed animals. Mr. Fluffkins is excellent company. Ryan." "Morgan." He matched her tone exactly, which earned him an exasperated sigh through the phone speaker. "She's wonderful," Morgan said, her voice softening into something that made Ryan's stomach clench. That was her serious voice, the one she used when she really meant something. "I wouldn't set you up with just anyone. You know that, right? After everything you've been through with Ava, after—" She stopped herself. "I just want you to be happy again. Is that so terrible?" Ryan closed his eyes and leaned his head back against the worn headrest. Through the windshield, he could see other employees leaving for the day. Martinez from receiving, Chen from quality control, Thompson, who worked overnight security and was just arriving. Normal people with normal lives who probably didn't spend their Thursday evenings dreading dinner with strangers. "What's her name?" he asked, because he'd been too distracted by work deadlines and Ava's upcoming parent-teacher conference to actually listen when Morgan had rattled off the details. "It's a surprise." "Morgan, just trust me. 7:30 at Bellamy's. Corner table, already reserved. Wear the blue shirt I got you for Christmas. You know, the one that actually fits. And for the love of everything, please shave." She hung up before he could protest further. Cool. Ryan made it home with 18 minutes to spare. Mrs. Chen had Ava fed and bathed, which meant he owed her an extra $20 and probably another tin of those butter cookies she loved from the Asian market on 5th Street. "Daddy!" Ava launched herself at his legs the moment he walked through the door, her damp hair leaving wet spots on his work pants. "Mrs. Chen let me have 2 cookies because I finished all my vegetables. And we watched the one about the ocean, and did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts? 3. That's like if you and me and Uncle Marcus all shared hearts, but we were one person, which would be weird but also cool. Breathe, baby girl. Ryan scooped her up, ignoring the protest from his lower back. 6 years old, and she was already getting too big for this, but he wasn't ready to admit it yet. 2 cookies, huh? What happened to the 1 cookie rule? Ava's face scrunched up in theatrical innocence. Mrs. Chen said rules have exceptions. Exceptions, he corrected, biting back a smile. Yeah, that. Where are you going? She'd spotted his duffel bag, the one he kept packed with clean clothes for emergencies. Her dark eyes, so much like his own, went wide with sudden worry. You're not leaving for work again, are you? You said we could watch a movie tonight. You promised. The guilt hit him like a physical blow. He had promised. Last Tuesday, when he'd missed her soccer practice because of a last-minute inventory crisis. He'd sworn on Mr. Fluffkin's life that Thursday night was movie night. No exceptions. I know, sweetheart, and I'm so sorry. Ryan set her down gently and crouched to her level. Aunt Morgan set up something for Daddy tonight. It's just dinner, just a couple hours. Mrs. Chen said she'd stay and you can watch that movie together. And then tomorrow, you're going on a date. Ava's accusation cut through his explanation like a knife. Like in the movies, with a girl. Ryan opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. It's just dinner. Is she pretty? I don't know. I've never met her. Ava's face cycled through several emotions in rapid succession. Confusion, curiosity, and something that looked suspiciously like scheming. What if she's a witch, like in the stories? What if she tries to turn you into a frog? Then you'll have to kiss me to break the spell. You, Daddy, that's gross. But she was giggling now, which meant crisis averted. For now. Okay, but you have to tell me everything tomorrow. Everything. Like what she looks like, and if she's nice, and if she has any kids, because if she has kids, maybe they could come over and play, and... Ava? Ryan caught her hands before she could wind herself up into another breathless monologue. One thing at a time, okay? Let's just see how tonight goes. Mrs. Chen appeared in the hallway, her expression knowing. Go, she said in her matter-of-fact way. Ava and I will be fine. We have plans. She shared a conspiratorial look with his daughter that made Ryan nervous. What kind of plans? The fun kind, Ava announced. The kind without boys. Ryan pulled into Bellamy's parking lot at exactly 7:28 p.m., which gave him 2 minutes to sit in his car and question every decision that had led him to this moment. The restaurant was the kind of place that probably had a wait list measured in weeks. All warm brick and tasteful lighting, and windows that showed beautiful people having beautiful conversations over beautiful food. He didn't belong here. The blue shirt Morgan had bought him felt too tight across the shoulders. He'd shaved too quickly and nicked himself twice. His shoes were the same ones he'd worn to his cousin's wedding 4 years ago, and he was pretty sure one of the soles was coming loose. His phone buzzed. Morgan, naturally. You better be inside already. I got you the corner table. She's wearing a black dress. You literally cannot miss her. Do not mess this up. Ryan took a deep breath. Then another. Then he got out of the car before he could talk himself out of it. The hostess was a young woman with perfect posture and a smile that looked genuine until you saw it didn't reach her eyes. Good evening, sir. Do you have a reservation? Mercer, 7:30, corner table. Her smile warmed several degrees. Of course, right this way. Your companion hasn't arrived yet, but... Oh, wait. She checked her tablet. Actually, she checked in just a moment ago. Let me show you to your table. Ryan followed her through the restaurant, painfully aware of the other diners. Men in jackets that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Women whose jewelry caught the light like small constellations. The air smelled like money and rosemary and something else he couldn't identify, but probably had a French name. The corner table was exactly where Morgan had promised. Tucked away from the main dining room, private but not isolated, with a view of the city lights beginning to twinkle as dusk settled over downtown. And sitting there, her back to him, was a woman in a black dress. The hostess gestured toward the table. Enjoy your evening? Ryan's heart was doing something complicated in his chest as he approached. The woman hadn't turned around yet. He could see the elegant line of her shoulders, the way she held herself with perfect posture, the subtle gleam of what might be pearls at her neck. This was it. The moment. He'd say something charming, or at least not idiotic. And maybe Morgan was right. Maybe this could be... The woman turned. Ryan's entire world screeched to a halt. No, 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 no. This wasn't possible. This couldn't be happening. This was some kind of cosmic joke, some terrible mistake, because the woman sitting at his blind date table wasn't a stranger at all. She was Olivia Bennett. The Olivia Bennett, CEO of Bennett Enterprises, the parent company that had acquired Meridian Logistics 8 months ago. The same woman who'd sat at the head of the conference table 3 days ago and systematically destroyed his proposal for restructuring the loading dock schedules. The executive who'd looked at him over her laptop screen and said, in front of 15 other people, "Mr. Mercer, I appreciate creativity, but what I don't appreciate is waste. Your proposed changes would cost this company 7% in efficiency." 7%. That might not sound like much to you, but translated into real numbers, that's $2.3 million annually. Can you justify $2.3 million for marginal improvements in employee comfort? She was staring at him now with the exact same expression she'd worn in that conference room, clinical, assessing, and completely devoid of warmth. For 3 full seconds, neither of them moved. Then they both spoke at once. "You've got to be kidding me." Their voices overlapped, identical in tone, identical in horror. Ryan's mind was racing. This had to be wrong. Morgan wouldn't do this. She couldn't have done this. She knew who Olivia Bennett was. Everyone at Meridian knew who Olivia Bennett was. She was the reason half the warehouse staff had to relearn their entire workflow. She was the reason Thompson had stress-eaten his way through 2 entire boxes of donuts last month. She was the personification of corporate efficiency taken to its most soulless extreme. And apparently, she was his blind date. "I'm going to kill Morgan," Ryan said, more to himself than to her. Olivia's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose a fraction of an inch. "Your sister's name is Morgan?" "Yeah, and I'm guessing someone in your life is also about to become an ex-relative." "My best friend Claire." Olivia's voice was controlled, but Ryan could hear the fury simmering underneath. Who apparently thought this would be hilarious. They stared at each other across the small table. The candlelight flickered between them, romantic and completely inappropriate for this disaster. "So," Ryan said finally, "this is awkward." "That's an understatement, Mr. Mercer." "We're not at work. You can call me Ryan." "I'm aware of your name." She picked up her water glass, took a sip, and set it down with precise deliberation. "The question is what we do about this situation. I vote for running away and pretending this never happened." For just a second, less than a heartbeat, he thought he saw something flicker in her expression. Amusement, maybe. Or possibly just indigestion. "Tempting," she admitted, "but I don't run from uncomfortable situations." "No, you just sit through them and make everyone else uncomfortable instead." The words were out before he could stop them. Ryan closed his eyes briefly. Great. Fantastic. He was 20 seconds into the worst blind date in human history, and he'd already insulted his company's CEO. But when he opened his eyes, Olivia was smiling. Sort of. It was more like her mouth had briefly forgotten how to maintain its usual disapproving line. "Fair point," she said, "though in my defense, those meetings would be significantly less uncomfortable if people came prepared. We were prepared. You just didn't like our answers." "I didn't like that your answers prioritized feelings over facts. Feelings like not wanting employees to develop chronic back problems from lifting 40-pound boxes for 10 hours straight. Efficiency standards exist for a reason. So do labor laws." They were doing it again. Falling into the same argument they'd had in the conference room, in the break room, in the parking lot, that one time when Ryan had been leaving late and Olivia had been arriving early for some ungodly executive breakfast meeting. A waiter appeared beside their table like a ghost, impeccably dressed and wielding menus. "Good evening. Can I start you both with something to drink?" Ryan and Olivia stared at him, then at each other. "I should go," Ryan said. "That would be the sensible thing," Olivia agreed. Neither of them moved. The waiter's professional smile didn't waver. "Or perhaps you'd like a moment to decide." "Whiskey," Ryan said. "Whatever you have that's strong." "Make that 2, Olivia added. The waiter nodded and vanished as silently as he'd appeared. Olivia folded her hands on the table. Her nails were painted a deep red that probably had some sophisticated name like Midnight Cherry or Corporate Bloodlust. I'm going to say something, and I need you to not interrupt me. Ryan gestured for her to continue. I'm going to sit through this dinner, she said, her voice low and precise, because I'm not going to give Claire the satisfaction of knowing she got to me. And because if I leave now, she'll spend the next 6 months trying to set me up with increasingly inappropriate men until I agree to give one of them a chance. This is damage control. So you're staying out of spite. I'm staying out of strategy. There's a difference. Ryan leaned back in his chair. The truth was, he understood completely. Morgan would be insufferable if he bailed. She'd claim he wasn't even trying, that he was too afraid to put himself out there, that he was using Ava as an excuse to hide from life. Okay, he said. I'll stay too. 1 hour. We eat something overpriced, make awkward conversation, and then we both go home and tell our respective meddlers that it was a disaster, so they'll leave us alone. Agreed. Olivia extended her hand across the table. 1 hour. Then we never speak of this again. Her handshake was exactly what Ryan expected, firm, brief, businesslike. But her hand was warmer than he'd anticipated, and smaller than it looked from across conference tables. The waiter returned with their drinks. Ryan took a sip of his whiskey and immediately regretted it. It was smooth and probably expensive and tasted like burning regret. So, Olivia said, lifting her own glass, since we're stuck here, we might as well establish ground rules. Ground rules for a fake date? Ground rules for a temporary truce. She counted off on her fingers. 1. We don't discuss work. At all. 2, we don't tell anyone at Meridian about this. 3, we survive this with our dignity intact. What's left of it? What's left of it, she agreed. They clinked glasses with the solemnity of soldiers making a pact before battle. Ryan studied her over the rim of his glass. Without the harsh fluorescent lighting of the office, with the candlelight softening her features, Olivia Bennett looked different. Still intimidating, there was no universe where she wasn't intimidating, but somehow more human. He could see the faint shadows under her eyes that suggested she slept as little as he did, the tiny crease between her eyebrows that appeared when she was thinking. You're staring, she said. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how my sister even knows you exist. I was wondering the same thing about Claire and you. Olivia set down her glass. Though apparently they met at some networking event 3 months ago, bonded over being surrounded by incompetent people. Your friend sounds delightful. She is, actually, when she's not trying to micromanage my personal life. Olivia paused. How much did Morgan tell you about me? That you were wonderful and perfect for me, and I'd be an idiot not to give you a chance. The usual sibling propaganda. Ryan gestured vaguely. You? Similar story. Claire said she'd found someone who was grounded and genuine and needed someone to appreciate him. Olivia's expression was dry. She failed to mention you were one of my employees. I'm not your employee. I'm employed by Meridian, which happens to be owned by your company. There's a difference. The org chart says otherwise. The org chart also says Thompson works part-time, but I've seen his timesheet. He pulls 60 hours a week minimum. Olivia's eyes sharpened. That's a compliance issue. If he's hourly and working over 40 without overtime pay, no work talk. Remember? Ground rule number 1. She caught herself, and Ryan could actually see the moment she consciously shifted gears. It was like watching a machine recalibrate. Right. No work talk. She picked up her menu. What do you recommend? Have you been here before? Do I look like I've been here before? That's not an answer. I've been here exactly once. My cousin's rehearsal dinner, 4 years ago. I had the chicken because it was the cheapest thing on the menu, and I spent the entire evening worried about the babysitter's hourly rate. Ryan hadn't meant to say that last part. It just slipped out, carried on the back of whiskey and exhaustion and the surreal nature of this entire evening. Olivia was watching him again, but differently now. Not like she was trying to find his weakness, more like she was seeing him for the first time. You have a child, she said. It wasn't a question. Daughter, Ava. She's 6. Ryan pulled out his phone without thinking, the way he always did when someone mentioned her. His lock screen was a photo from her last soccer game. Ava mid-kick, her face scrunched up in concentration, her jersey 3 sizes too big. She's the reason I nearly didn't come tonight. We had movie plans. He showed her the phone, then immediately felt stupid about it. Why was he showing his kid's picture to Olivia Bennett? She probably thought he was one of those insufferable parents who couldn't go 5 minutes without talking about their children. But Olivia took the phone gently, studying the photo with an expression he couldn't quite read. "She looks fierce," she said finally. "She is. Takes after her dad." "I was thinking she takes after her mother." The silence that followed wasn't comfortable. Ryan took his phone back, locked the screen, shoved it in his pocket. "Sorry," Olivia said quietly. "I shouldn't have assumed." "It's fine. You didn't know." Ryan drained the rest of his whiskey in one long swallow. "Ava's mom isn't in the picture. Hasn't been for a while. It's just us." He expected pity. That's what people usually offered when they found out he was a single dad. That patronizing sympathy that made him want to break things. But Olivia just nodded. "That must be hard. We manage." "I'm sure you do more than manage." She turned her attention back to her menu. "The salmon here is excellent, if you like fish. And before you make some comment about the price, dinner is my treat. Consider it compensation for your wasted evening." I know you don't need it. I'm offering anyway." Her voice had taken on that CEO edge again, the one that suggested arguing would be futile. "Pick something you'll actually enjoy eating, Ryan. We're already suffering through this disaster. We might as well have good food while we do it." It was such an absurd statement, delivered with such complete seriousness, that Ryan actually laughed. A real laugh. The kind that surprised him because he couldn't remember the last time something had struck him as genuinely funny. Olivia's expression shifted, softened maybe, though it was hard to tell in the candlelight. "What?" she asked. "Nothing. I just..." Ryan shook his head. "You're not what I expected." "Disappointed?" "Different." "Is that better or worse?" "Ask me in an hour." "Bon." They ordered. Olivia got the salmon. Ryan chose the steak, medium rare, and tried not to think about how much it cost. The waiter recommended a wine that Olivia accepted with a nod, and Ryan pretended to understand. And then they were alone again, with 47 minutes left in their hour, and nothing to talk about except the one subject they'd agreed not to mention. "So," Ryan said, "since work is off limits, what do we talk about?" "Normal first date conversation, I suppose." "Which is what exactly? I haven't been on a first date in..." He tried to remember. 8 years? 9? That's either very romantic or very depressing. Bit of both, probably. Olivia swirled her wine glass. "What did you talk about on your last first date?" "Music, I think, and movies. She was really into horror films, and I pretended to be because I was 24 and stupid." "Did it work?" "For a while." Ryan traced the rim of his water glass. "What about you? When's the last time you did this?" "This specifically? Never. I've never been set up on a blind date with someone I work with who openly challenges me in meetings." "You know what I mean." Olivia considered the question. 6 months ago, lawyer, very accomplished, very boring. He spent 2 hours talking about his summer home in the Hamptons and his investment portfolio. Sounds terrible. It was. Though in fairness, I spent most of the dinner checking my email under the table, so I wasn't exactly date of the year either. At least you're honest about it. Honesty is efficient. It saves time. There it was again, that corporate speak that made everything sound like a business transaction. But this time, Ryan thought he heard something else underneath it. Something almost defensive, like she was using that language as armor. Their food arrived, perfectly plated and artfully arranged. Ryan's steak was probably the best thing he'd eaten in months. He told himself he was only enjoying it because it was free. "Tell me something," Olivia said after a few minutes of eating in silence. "Why logistics? It's not exactly the most glamorous field." Says the CEO of a company that literally depends on logistics to function. Fair point, but you didn't answer the question. Ryan cut another piece of steak, buying himself time to think. "I needed something stable. Something with decent benefits and regular hours. When Ava came along, I couldn't be the guy jumping between jobs anymore. Meridian was hiring, the pay was decent, and they didn't ask too many questions about my extremely random resume." "What did you do before?" "Little bit of everything. Construction, bartending. I worked at a recording studio for a while doing sound editing. That was actually my favorite, but it didn't pay enough." You have eclectic tastes. I have bills to pay and a kid to raise. My tastes don't really factor into it anymore. Olivia was quiet for a moment. That's remarkably practical. That's being a parent. Is it worth it? The sacrifice, I mean. The question caught Ryan off guard. Not because it was invasive, but because it was genuine. She really wanted to know. Every single day, he said simply. Even the hard ones. Even the days when I'm so tired I can barely think straight and she's throwing a tantrum about wearing shoes. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. You're lucky. I'm exhausted, but yeah, I'm lucky too. Olivia smiled then, a real smile, small and brief but unmistakably genuine. I can't imagine it, having that kind of responsibility for another person. You run a multi-million-dollar company. You're responsible for hundreds of employees. That's different. I can restructure a department. I can't restructure a 6-year-old. You'd be surprised. Ava responds well to organized systems. We have a chore chart and everything. Does it work? About 60% of the time. The other 40% she tries to negotiate for reduced responsibilities in exchange for increased dessert allocation. Olivia laughed. Actually laughed. A sound that transformed her entire face, making her look younger and less guarded and nothing like the woman who'd reduced grown men to stammering in conference rooms. She sounds like she'd make an excellent executive someday, Olivia said. God help us all. They fell into easier conversation after that. Olivia told him about growing up in Connecticut, the youngest of 3 siblings, all of whom had gone into business. Ryan shared stories about Ava's recent obsession with marine biology and her insistence that when she grew up, she was going to be both an astronaut and a dolphin trainer. Simultaneously? Olivia asked. She's very ambitious. Wonder where she gets that from. The hour passed. Then another 30 minutes. Neither of them mentioned leaving. The waiter brought dessert menus. Olivia ordered chocolate cake. Ryan got the same, even though he was already uncomfortably full, because sitting here eating overpriced cake with Olivia Bennett was somehow better than going home to an empty apartment and Mrs. Chen's knowing looks. I need to ask you something, Olivia said as she picked up her fork. And I need you to be honest. Okay, that proposal you made, the loading dock schedule. You really think it would improve things? Ryan set down his own fork. I thought we weren't talking about work. We're not. I'm asking about your professional opinion as someone who understands the operational reality better than I do. There's a difference. That sounds like talking about work with extra steps. Ryan, he sighed. Yeah, I really think it would help. Not just because it would make things easier for the workers, though it would, but because exhausted employees make mistakes. Expensive mistakes. You want to talk efficiency? Thompson dropped an entire shipment last month because he'd been on his feet for 9 hours straight and his concentration slipped. That cost us $20,000 in damaged inventory. My proposal would cost you maybe $300,000 to implement, but it would save you double that in reduced errors and sick days. Martes. Olivia was watching him with that intense focus she brought to everything. Why didn't you say that in the meeting? I tried. You cut me off. I did, didn't I? She looked down at her cake. I have a tendency to do that. Cut people off when I think I already know where they're going. Yeah, you do. It's a bad habit. It's a CEO habit. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Olivia took a bite of cake, chewed thoughtfully. Send me the proposal again, the full version, with all the data you didn't get to present. I'll look at it properly this time. Ryan blinked. Seriously? I may be difficult, but I'm not unreasonable. If there's a case to be made, make it. She pointed her fork at him. But if the numbers don't support it, I'm rejecting it again. Clear? Crystal. They finished their desserts. The restaurant had emptied out around them, other diners filtering away until they were one of only 3 tables still occupied. Ryan checked his phone. 10:43 p.m. I should go, he said reluctantly. Mrs. Chen is probably asleep on my couch by now. Mrs. Chen? Babysitter, neighbor, lifesaver. She's 76 and has more energy than I do. Olivia signaled for the check. When it arrived, she handed over a credit card without even looking at the total. Ryan tried not to think about how much this meal had cost. Probably more than he spent on groceries in a month. Outside, the night had turned cool. The parking lot was nearly empty, their cars sitting at opposite ends like they deliberately tried to avoid each other even before knowing who they'd be meeting. They stood there awkwardly, neither quite sure how to end this. "So," Ryan said finally. "That was unexpected," Olivia finished. "I was going to say not as terrible as it could have been, but yours works too." She smiled that small smile again. "We survived, with our dignity mostly intact." "I'll take mostly." Olivia pulled her jacket tighter against the breeze. "Thank you for staying. I know this wasn't what you signed up for." "Same to you." Ryan hesitated. "For what it's worth, you're not as scary outside the office." "Only mostly scary?" "I'd say 60-40. 40% almost human." "I'll take that as a compliment." They started walking toward their respective cars, that awkward post-date moment stretching between them. Ryan's mind was racing. He should say something normal and forgettable that would let them both pretend this never happened when they inevitably saw each other at work on Monday. Instead, he heard himself say, "Would you want to do this again sometime?" The words hung in the air between them. Olivia stopped walking. "Do what again?" she asked carefully. "Subject ourselves to our friends' matchmaking schemes?" "No, I mean," Ryan ran a hand through his hair. "Get dinner. Talk, without it being a setup or a disaster." "You're asking me on a date." "I'm asking if you'd want to have dinner again, as, I don't know, people who unexpectedly don't hate each other as much as they thought." Olivia studied him for a long moment. In the parking lot lights, her expression was unreadable. "That's a terrible pitch," she said finally. "Yeah, I'm out of practice." "I'm your boss." "Technically, you're my boss's boss's boss." "That doesn't make it better." "I know." Another pause. A car drove past on the street beyond the parking lot, its headlights sweeping across them briefly. "I'll think about it," Olivia said. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. "Fair enough." Ryan pulled out his keys. "Good night, Olivia." "Good night, Ryan." He was halfway to his car when she called out. "Ryan." He turned. "That thing Ava said about the 3 hearts." Olivia was still standing where he'd left her, her arms crossed against the cold. That would be weird, but also kind of beautiful. Then she walked to her car, something sleek and expensive that probably cost more than he made in 2 years, and drove away, leaving Ryan standing alone in the parking lot, wondering what the hell had just happened. His phone buzzed. Morgan, of course. "Well?" Ryan typed out 3 different responses before settling on the truth. It was complicated. "Tell you later." He sat in his car for a full 5 minutes before starting the engine, his mind replaying the evening in fragments. Olivia's laugh, the way she'd looked at Ava's photo, that moment when she'd admitted to being difficult and hadn't tried to justify it. This was a mistake. Getting involved with someone at work, especially someone who had the power to make his professional life miserable, was asking for trouble. But as Ryan drove home through empty streets, he couldn't shake the memory of how she'd smiled when he'd called her almost human. And against all logic, against every reasonable instinct he possessed, he kind of wanted to see that smile again. Ryan didn't tell Morgan about the dinner. Not right away. He made it home at 11:07 p.m. to find Mrs. Chen dozing in his armchair with the television playing some late-night talk show on mute, and Ava sprawled across the couch in her pajamas, clutching Mr. Fluffkins like a life preserver. The sight of them, peaceful and safe in his cramped living room, made something in his chest tighten. Mrs. Chen woke the moment he closed the door, her eyes sharp despite the late hour. "She waited up for you," she said quietly. "Fell asleep around 10. Kept asking when you'd be home." "I'm sorry, I should have—" "Don't apologize to me." Mrs. Chen gathered her knitting bag and the book she'd brought. "Apologize to her tomorrow. And Ryan." She paused at the door, her wrinkled hand patting his arm. "Whatever happened tonight, you look less tired than usual. That's good." He wanted to argue that nothing had happened, that it was just a dinner that went slightly less disastrously than expected, but Mrs. Chen was already shuffling down the hallway toward her own apartment. Ryan locked the door behind her and stood there for a moment, listening to Ava's soft breathing. His phone buzzed. He pulled it out, expecting Morgan. It wasn't Morgan. The number wasn't saved in his contacts, but he recognized it from the company directory. Olivia Bennett's personal cell, the one she'd given to department heads for emergencies only. Ryan stared at the message for a solid 10 seconds before his brain processed the words. "Thank you for tonight. Despite the circumstances, I enjoyed our conversation. Sleep well. Simple. Professional. The kind of message that could mean absolutely nothing or could mean something he wasn't ready to think about at 11:15 on a Thursday night. Ryan typed and deleted 4 different responses before settling on something equally neutral. Same. Drive home safe. He hit send before he could overthink it, then immediately wanted to throw his phone across the room because who tells someone to drive home safe 45 minutes after they've left? She was probably already home, probably already in her expensive apartment, with its probably expensive furniture, probably already regretting sending that message. His phone buzzed again. Already home. Corner penthouse, 23rd floor. The view is better than the company. Ryan blinked at the screen. Was that a joke? Was Olivia Bennett making jokes via text message? Sounds lonely. The response came faster this time. It is. Good night, Ryan. He stared at those 3 words, it is, and felt something shift in his understanding of the woman he'd spent 3 hours with tonight. The Ice Queen of Bennett Enterprises, the woman who'd made Martinez cry during a performance review last month, had just admitted to being lonely. Ryan carried Ava to her bedroom, tucking her in without waking her. Mr. Fluffkins got positioned in the crook of her arm, exactly where she liked him. He stood in the doorway for a moment, watching his daughter sleep, and tried not to think about Olivia sitting alone in a penthouse apartment with nothing but a view for company. Friday morning arrived with Ava jumping on his bed at 6:30 a.m., demanding pancakes and details about the mysterious date. Ryan, who'd slept maybe 4 hours, did his best to deflect while flipping chocolate chip pancakes that came out slightly burned on one side. Was she pretty? Ava asked around a mouthful of pancake. Don't talk with your mouth full. Was she? Yeah, she was pretty. Did you kiss her? Ava, did you? Because in the movies, they always kiss at the end, and then there's music, and real life isn't like the movies, baby girl. Ryan slid another pancake onto her plate, this one less burned. We just had dinner and talked. Boring! Ava drowned her pancakes in syrup with the enthusiasm of someone who didn't have to clean up the inevitable sticky mess. Are you going to see her again? I don't know. Maybe. You should. You smiled when you came home last night. I was only pretending to sleep. Ryan paused with the spatula halfway to the pan. You were awake? Mrs. Chen's snoring is really loud, like a dragon. Ava grinned, syrup on her chin. You looked happy. I like when you look happy. He wanted to tell her that one dinner didn't mean anything, that happy was a strong word for what he'd felt, that she shouldn't get her hopes up about some mysterious woman who might never materialize into anything real. Instead, he ruffled her hair and said, Eat your breakfast. We've got soccer practice at 9. Ava's face lit up. With Coach Olivia? Ryan's hand froze on the spatula. What? Coach Olivia, for soccer. She's really nice, and she taught me how to do a proper corner kick, and she says I have good instincts, which means I'm smart about where to run, and… Wait, hold on. Ryan set down the spatula carefully, like it might explode. Your soccer coach's name is Olivia? Yeah, Olivia Bennett. She's super pretty, and she knows everything about soccer, and she always brings orange slices at halftime. Ava bounced in her chair. Do you know her? Is she the one from last night? Did you have dinner with my soccer coach? The universe, Ryan decided, had a truly twisted sense of humor. I need coffee, he muttered. That's not an answer. Finish your pancakes. But his mind was racing. Olivia Bennett coached youth soccer. The same woman who spent her weekdays making executives sweat was spending her Saturday mornings teaching 6-year-olds how to kick a ball. It didn't make sense. It didn't fit the image he'd built of her in his head. The Ice Queen, all business and efficiency, who probably had better things to do than volunteer with screaming children. Ryan pulled out his phone and scrolled through his email until he found the one from the rec league coordinator. Sure enough, there it was. Coach assignments for the fall season. Team Wildcats, Coach Olivia Bennett. He'd seen that email 3 months ago when Ava first signed up. He'd never connected the dots because why would he? Bennett wasn't an uncommon name, and the idea that his company's CEO would be coaching his daughter's soccer team was so absurd it had never even occurred to him. You're being weird, Ava observed. I'm not being weird. You have your thinking face. That's your weird face. Ryan looked at his daughter, who was watching him with those two perceptive eyes that missed nothing. If I told you something, could you keep it a secret? Ava straightened in her chair, suddenly serious. Is it a good secret or a bad secret? Because Mrs. Chen says bad secrets are the ones that make your tummy hurt, and good secrets are like surprise parties. It's a good secret, I think. Ryan sat down across from her. The woman I had dinner with last night, her name is Olivia, and yeah, she's your soccer coach. Ava's eyes went wide. Really? You had dinner with Coach Olivia? I didn't know she was your coach until just now. It was kind of a surprise. That's so cool. She's the best coach ever. Did you tell her I'm getting better at dribbling? Did you tell her about my goal last week? Did you? Ava, slow down. Ryan held up a hand. Here's the thing. We can't tell anyone about this yet, okay? Not your friends on the team, not Mrs. Chen, nobody, because it's complicated and we're still figuring things out. Are you going to marry her? What? No, we just had one dinner. But you like her. Ryan stopped. Did he like her? He'd spent half the evening arguing with her and the other half discovering she wasn't who he thought she was. It's complicated. That's what grown-ups say when the answer is yes, but they don't want to say yes. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just don't pay attention. Ava grinned, then sobered. I won't tell anyone. Promise. Can we go to practice early? I want to show Coach Olivia my new cleats. Ryan glanced at the clock, 7:45 a.m. Practice didn't start until 9, and the field was only 15 minutes away. We've got time. Finish eating first. While Ava demolished the rest of her pancakes, Ryan tried to figure out what the hell he was supposed to do with this information. Showing up at soccer practice now felt like crossing some invisible line. It was one thing to have dinner with Olivia in the neutral territory of an expensive restaurant. It was another thing entirely to see her in his world, coaching his kid, blurring the boundaries between the careful compartments he'd built his life around. His phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number that was rapidly becoming very known. I assume Ava told you about soccer practice. Ryan typed back quickly. Just found out. This is getting weird. Agreed. I'm already at the field setting up. If you'd prefer I recuse myself from coaching, I understand. He stared at that message. She was giving him an out, a way to avoid the awkwardness. All he had to do was say yes, and she'd probably step down, find a replacement coach, maintain the professional distance that made sense. Don't be ridiculous. Ava would kill me if you quit. Besides, you bring orange slices. The response came with something he'd never seen from Olivia Bennett before. An emoji. Just one. A simple smiley face that felt more genuine than any professional pleasantry. See you at 9 then. Ava insisted on wearing her new cleats in the car, which meant Ryan spent the drive listening to her click her heels together and narrate an elaborate story about a soccer player who discovered she had magic feet that could make the ball go wherever she wanted. By the time they pulled into the parking lot at Morrison Park, Ryan's nerves had twisted themselves into knots. The field was already set up, bright orange cones marking out a practice area, a mesh bag of soccer balls sitting near the sideline, and Olivia Bennett standing in the center of it all, wearing track pants and a team jacket, her hair pulled back in a ponytail that made her look 10 years younger. She saw them immediately. For a brief second, their eyes met across the field, and Ryan saw his own uncertainty reflected back at him. Then Ava was yanking on his hand, dragging him forward. Coach Olivia, look! New cleats! Ava stuck out her foot proudly. Olivia crouched down to examine them with the same serious attention she probably gave quarterly reports. These are excellent. Good ankle support, proper traction. You picked well. Dad picked them, but I chose the color. The color is definitely the most important part. Olivia glanced up at Ryan, and something in her expression softened. Morning. Morning, Ryan managed. Sorry we're early. Someone was excited. I'm always excited for soccer, Ava announced. Can I practice dribbling before everyone else gets here? Go ahead. The balls are right there. Olivia straightened as Ava raced off. Then it was just the two of them, standing in the middle of an empty soccer field at 8:47 on a Friday morning, trying to figure out how to be normal. So, Ryan said finally, youth soccer coach. That's not in your company bio. Neither is single father in yours. Fair point. They watched Ava attack the soccer balls with enthusiasm that far exceeded technique. She managed to kick one completely off the field and into the parking lot. She's got power, Olivia observed. We're working on accuracy. Story of her life. Ryan shoved his hands in his pockets. Look, I don't want to make this weird. It's already weird. Yeah, but we can be adults about it, right? You coach, I watch from the sidelines with the other parents and we just coexist. Olivia was quiet for a moment. Is that what you want? To coexist? The question hit harder than it should have. Ryan looked at her, really looked at her, standing there in coaching gear instead of a designer suit, with grass stains on her shoes and her hair coming loose from its ponytail, and he realized he had no idea what he wanted. I don't know, he admitted. I'm still trying to figure out how my blind date turned into my daughter's soccer coach turned into my boss. I'm not your boss on this field. No? No. Here, I'm just someone who volunteered because the league was short on coaches, and I used to play in college. Olivia glanced at him. And you're just Ava's dad. Nothing complicated about that. Everything about this is complicated. True, but maybe we don't have to figure it all out this morning. She checked her watch. Other kids will be here soon. You should probably take your position with the other parents before they start asking questions. Ryan nodded, but he didn't move. Olivia? Yeah? Thanks for not making this harder than it has to be. She smiled that small smile he was beginning to recognize. I saved the hard part for Monday meetings. He was still laughing when the first of the other parents arrived. Martinez's wife with their son Lucas, followed by Chen from quality control with his daughter Emma. Both of them looked surprised to see Ryan there early, and even more surprised to see him talking to Coach Olivia like they knew each other. Ryan retreated to the sidelines before anyone could ask questions he didn't know how to answer. Practice was good. Better than good. Ryan had been to exactly 3 of Ava's previous sessions, always arriving late and leaving early because of work, always standing apart from the other parents because he didn't know them and didn't have time for small talk. But today he was early, and Martinez's wife, whose name turned out to be Sophia, immediately pulled him into conversation about the upcoming bake sale fundraiser. We're doing a soccer theme, Sophia explained, gesturing enthusiastically. Sugar cookies shaped like soccer balls, cupcakes with little fondant cleats. It's going to be adorable. Can you bake? I can microwave? Perfect. You're on setup crew. She grinned. Don't worry, we won't make you actually cook anything. We learned that lesson after Martinez tried to make brownies last year. Out on the field, Olivia had the kids running through dribbling drills. Even from a distance, Ryan could see she was good at this, patient but firm, encouraging without being condescending. When Lucas fell and scraped his knee, she was there in seconds with a first aid kit that appeared from nowhere, cleaning the wound and applying a bandage with practiced efficiency. She's amazing with them, Sophia said, following his gaze. My friend's daughter had her last season. Said Coach Olivia turned her from hating soccer to begging for extra practice. How long has she been coaching? 3 years, I think, since the league started. I heard she played professionally for a while in Europe, but I don't know the details. Sophia lowered her voice. Between you and me, I think she does this because she doesn't have kids of her own. You can see it in how she looks at them. Ryan watched Olivia high-five Ava after a successful drill, saw the genuine pride in her expression, and wondered what else he didn't know about the woman he'd had dinner with last night. Practice ended at 10:30 with Olivia gathering the kids into a circle for their post-practice ritual. Apparently they went around and each kid shared their favorite moment from practice. Ava's was, when I didn't fall down even once, which got laughs from the other kids and a warm smile from Olivia. Parents collected their children, and Ryan hung back, waiting for the crowd to thin. Ava was helping Olivia collect the orange cones, chattering nonstop about something that involved dolphins and spaceships. That sounds very scientific, Olivia was saying seriously. Have you considered the oxygen requirements for dolphins in space? They could wear special helmets with water inside. Brilliant solution. Ryan approached slowly. Come on, Ava. Let Coach Olivia finish packing up. But I'm helping. You are helping, Olivia confirmed. Best assistant I've had all season. She handed Ava the bag of cones. Can you put these in my car? The blue one over there. Ava ran off importantly, leaving Ryan and Olivia alone again. She's a good kid, Olivia said, watching Ava struggle with the trunk of her Mercedes. Enthusiastic, fearless, terrible at following instructions but excellent at improvising. That's a diplomatic way of saying she does whatever she wants. She's 6. That's the job description. Olivia gathered the soccer balls into their mesh bag. So, we survived round 2 of unexpected encounters. Barely. The day's not over yet. There's still plenty of time for disaster. She was teasing him, he realized. Actually teasing. Are you free for coffee? The words came out before Ryan could stop them. I mean, there's a place near here. Nothing fancy. Just coffee. Olivia hesitated, and Ryan could see her working through the calculation. Was this a good idea? What were the implications? How many professional boundaries were they about to cross? Ava would have to come, he added. Obviously, and it's just coffee, as friends or colleagues or whatever we are. We're people who had one surprisingly decent dinner and who happen to exist in overlapping circles, Olivia said carefully. And yes, I'm free for coffee. The place Ryan had in mind was a small cafe 3 blocks from the park, the kind with mismatched furniture and a chalkboard menu and decent coffee at prices that didn't require a small loan. Ava immediately claimed a table by the window and started drawing on the paper placemats they provided for kids. Ryan ordered his usual black coffee. Olivia got something complicated with oat milk and an extra shot of espresso. Ava requested hot chocolate with extra marshmallows and gave the barista her most winning smile. She's learning to negotiate young, Olivia observed as they waited for their drinks. She gets it from her mother. The words slipped out automatically, and Ryan immediately regretted them, but Olivia just nodded. The one who's not in the picture. Yeah, that one. They collected their drinks and joined Ava at the table. She was drawing what appeared to be a dolphin in a spacesuit playing soccer. That's beautiful, sweetheart, Ryan said. It's for Coach Olivia, because she said my idea was brilliant. Olivia accepted the drawing with the same seriousness she probably brought to contract negotiations. I'll put it on my refrigerator. You will? Absolutely. It'll be the centerpiece of my kitchen. Ava beamed and went back to her hot chocolate, leaving Ryan and Olivia to navigate the strange territory of sitting across from each other in a coffee shop on a Saturday morning. Can I ask you something? Olivia said quietly. About Ava's mother. Ryan tensed. Depends what you're asking. I'm asking if it's a topic you're willing to discuss. If not, that's fine. I'm just trying to understand your situation better. It was the way she phrased it, not prying, not demanding, just offering the option, that made Ryan actually consider answering. Her name was Jessica, he said finally, keeping his voice low enough that Ava wouldn't hear. We were together for 3 years, got engaged. I thought we were building something. Then she got pregnant and everything changed. Changed how? She didn't want it. The baby, the domesticity, any of it. She was 25 and felt like her life was over before it started. Ryan stared into his coffee. I told her we'd figure it out together. She said she didn't want to figure it out at all. Olivia was quiet, letting him continue at his own pace. She left when Ava was 4 months old. Just packed a bag one day while I was at work and disappeared. Left a note saying she was sorry, but she couldn't do this, couldn't be who we needed her to be. Ryan's throat felt tight. I got divorce papers 6 months later from an attorney in California. She signed away all parental rights. I haven't heard from her since. That must have been incredibly hard. It was a relief, honestly. By the time she left, we'd been fighting for months. Ava was better off without that energy in the house. He glanced at his daughter, who was now adding stars to her drawing. I've never told her the whole truth, just that her mom had to go away and it wasn't Ava's fault. She's lucky to have you. I'm the one who's lucky. Ryan forced himself to look at Olivia. Sorry. That was probably more than you wanted to know. You didn't have to tell me anything. I know, but if we're going to... He stopped. Whatever this is, you should know that I've got baggage. A lot of it. Olivia's smile was sad. We all have baggage, Ryan. Yours just comes with a very charming 6-year-old attached to it. Ava looked up at the mention of her age. I'm almost 7. My birthday is in 3 months. What do you want for your birthday? Olivia asked. A puppy. But Dad says we can't have one because our apartment is too small and he works too much. Both of those things are true, Ryan confirmed. Or a telescope. Or a soccer ball signed by a famous player. Or, how about we start with one thing, Ryan interrupted, and work from there. They stayed at the cafe for almost 2 hours. Ava cycled through 3 more drawings, 2 bathroom trips, and one minor crisis when she spilled hot chocolate on her shirt. Olivia produced wet wipes from her bag like magic. Ryan found himself relaxing in a way he hadn't in months, maybe years. When they finally left, the afternoon sun was bright and warm. Ava skipped ahead toward the car, her soccer bag bouncing against her back. "This was nice," Olivia said. "Unexpected, but nice. Seems to be our pattern. I'm starting to think the universe has a sense of humor about us. Or it's trying to tell us something." Olivia looked at him, and Ryan saw uncertainty in her expression that matched his own. "I don't know how to do this," she admitted. "Whatever this is, I'm not good at casual, I'm not good at undefined, I'm good at contracts and clear expectations and knowing exactly where I stand. Then we'll figure it out as we go." Ryan surprised himself with how much he meant it. No contracts, no expectations, just two people who accidentally don't hate each other, seeing what happens next. That's terrifying. "Yeah, it is," Ava called out from the car. "Dad, I'm hungry. Can we get pizza?" "You just had hot chocolate. That was forever ago." Olivia laughed. "You should feed her. Growing kids need calories." "Join us," Ryan said impulsively, "for pizza. It won't be fancy like last night, but I'd like that." So they went for pizza, Ryan and Ava and Olivia Bennett, CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, sitting in a booth at Mario's Pizza Palace with sticky tables and arcade games in the corner. Ava insisted Olivia sit next to her so she could show her the proper technique for eating pizza crust first, which Olivia accepted with the same grave attention she probably gave board meetings. Ryan watched them together and felt something dangerous bloom in his chest. Hope, maybe. Or possibility. Or just the simple pleasure of not being alone for once. His phone buzzed. "Morgan, finally catching up. Mom said she saw you at Morrison Park this morning with a woman. Details now." Ryan typed back one-handed while reaching for another slice of pizza. "Tell Mom to mind her own business. And you too. That's not a denial." He pocketed his phone and looked up to find Olivia watching him with raised eyebrows. "Let me guess," she said. "Morgan?" "And my mother, apparently. The family intelligence network is faster than I thought. Claire texted me earlier asking if I'd reconsidered that thing we discussed. I told her I was busy." "Are you? Reconsidering?" Olivia met his eyes across the table, and Ryan saw something shift in her expression. "Ask me again at the end of the day." They finished their pizza. Ava convinced Olivia to play one round of skee-ball in the arcade, which Olivia won with a precision that suggested she'd done this before. Then it was after 2 in the afternoon, and real life was starting to creep back in around the edges of their strange little bubble. In the parking lot, Ava hugged Olivia goodbye with the unselfconscious affection of a child who didn't know about complications or boundaries. "See you at practice next week, Coach." "See you then, Ava." Ryan waited until Ava was buckled into the back seat before turning to Olivia. "So, end of the day, have you reconsidered?" "Reconsidered what?" "Whatever this is. Us, coffee and pizza, and figuring it out as we go." Olivia was quiet for a long moment, and Ryan prepared himself for the inevitable rejection. This was crazy. They both knew it was crazy. She'd come to her senses, draw a professional line, and Monday would be awkward for entirely different reasons. "I don't date people I work with," she said finally. "It's a rule I've had since college. No exceptions." "Okay. But I don't coach the children of people I'm dating either, so maybe all my rules need updating." She smiled, and it transformed her whole face. "Yes. I'm reconsidering. I'm saying yes to whatever this is, even though it terrifies me and breaks every professional guideline I've ever set for myself." Ryan felt something loosen in his chest. "Yeah? Yeah, but we're taking this slow and we're being smart about it. And if at any point it gets complicated in a way that affects Ava or my company or your job, we stop." "Deal." They shook on it, which made them both laugh, because who shakes hands after agreeing to date? "I'll call you," Olivia said. "Looking forward to it." Ryan drove home with Ava singing off-key in the back seat, and his mind spinning with the impossibility of what had just happened. He'd gone to a blind date expecting disaster, and somehow ended up with coffee and pizza and a woman who made his daughter laugh and made him feel less alone. Monday would be complicated. Everything about this was complicated. But as Ava chattered about Coach Olivia and dolphins and her upcoming birthday, Ryan decided that maybe complicated wasn't the worst thing in the world. Maybe it was just the beginning. Monday morning hit Ryan like a freight train he'd seen coming but couldn't avoid. He'd barely slept Sunday night, his mind cycling through every possible scenario of how seeing Olivia at work would play out. Would she pretend nothing had happened? Would she expect him to? Would everyone somehow instantly know they'd spent Saturday eating pizza and playing skee-ball like normal people instead of employer and employee? The warehouse floor at Meridian was already buzzing when he clocked in at 6:58 a.m. Martinez was arguing with Chen about optimal pallet stacking techniques. Thompson looked half dead, which meant he'd worked a double shift again despite Ryan telling him to go home. The coffee in the break room smelled like it had been brewed sometime during the previous administration. Normal. Everything was completely normal, except Ryan kept checking his phone like a teenager waiting for a text back, and he changed his shirt 3 times that morning before Ava had pointed out that they all looked exactly the same, Daddy. It's weird. His phone buzzed at 7:23 a.m. Unknown number, except it wasn't unknown anymore. Morning. Budget meeting at 10. Try not to fall asleep. I promise to keep it under 3 hours. Ryan stared at that message. She was joking. Olivia Bennett was making jokes about boring budget meetings. He typed back quickly before he could overthink it. 3 hours? That's generous. Last one went until lunch. That was before I implemented the efficiency protocols. We're down to 2 hours average now. My hero. He regretted it the second he hit send. Too familiar, too casual. This was still his boss, technically, regardless of what had happened over pizza. But her response came through almost immediately. Save the flattery for when I approve your loading dock proposal. See you at 10. Ryan found himself smiling at his phone like an idiot, which is exactly when Martinez walked past and caught him. You look happy. That's suspicious. Martinez grabbed a clipboard from the wall. Who are you texting? Wait, don't tell me. Morgan finally wore you down about the dating thing, didn't she? Mind your business, Martinez. That's a yes. Holy hell, Ryan actually went on a date. Was it awful? It was awful, wasn't it? You've got that shell-shocked look people get after bad blind dates. It wasn't awful. Ryan shoved his phone in his pocket. It was weird, but not bad weird. You seen her again? The honest answer was, I have no idea what we're doing. But Ryan settled for a non-committal shrug. Maybe. We'll see. Martinez grinned. Man, it's about time. You've been walking around here like a zombie for years. A little romance might actually make you bearable to work with. I'm very bearable. You made Thompson cry last month. That was about the safety protocols he keeps ignoring, and he didn't cry. He got emotional. Same thing. Martinez clapped him on the shoulder. Seriously, though, I'm glad. You deserve something good. Ryan didn't know how to respond to that, so he changed the subject to the shipment schedule and spent the next 2 hours trying to focus on inventory counts, instead of the fact that he had a budget meeting with Olivia in less than 90 minutes. At 9:47 a.m., Ryan headed up to the 3rd floor where the conference rooms lived. He'd been in exactly 2 meetings up here since Bennett Enterprises took over, the initial restructuring announcement and the disastrous loading dock proposal presentation. The carpet was nicer up here. The coffee machine actually worked. There were plants that someone watered regularly. The conference room door was already open. Through the glass wall, Ryan could see Olivia at the head of the table, laptop open, talking to someone on her phone. She was wearing a charcoal gray suit that probably cost more than his car payment, her hair pulled back in the same ruthlessly efficient bun she wore to every meeting. Nothing about her suggested they'd spent Saturday watching his daughter win 15 tickets at skee-ball. Ryan took a breath and walked in. Olivia glanced up, and for just a fraction of a second, her professional mask slipped. Her eyes met his, and Ryan saw something warm there, something private that was just for him. Then it was gone, and she was CEO Olivia again, gesturing for him to take a seat while she finished her call. I understand the timeline is tight, but we've worked with tighter. Get me the revised proposal by Wednesday. She paused, listening. No, Wednesday. Not Thursday. Not end of week. Wednesday at 9 a.m. Another pause. Excellent. Talk soon. She hung up and turned her attention to the room. Besides Ryan, there were 5 other people present, department heads from logistics, operations, and finance. Anderson from accounting was already looking half asleep. "Let's get started," Olivia said, her voice crisp and professional. "We have a lot to cover, and I'd like to wrap this up efficiently. Ryan, since you're here, we'll start with your revised loading dock proposal." Ryan's brain stuttered. "I'm sorry, what?" "Your proposal, the one you were supposed to send me with the full data." Olivia's expression was perfectly neutral. "You did send it, didn't you?" He had. Saturday night, actually, at 11:47 p.m. when he couldn't sleep and figured he might as well be productive. He'd spent 3 hours compiling every piece of data he could find: injury reports, efficiency metrics, cost analyses, comparative studies from other logistics companies. He'd sent it expecting a response sometime next week, if ever. "Yeah, I sent it, Friday night." Close enough to the truth. "Good. I read it Sunday morning." Olivia pulled up something on her laptop, and suddenly the wall monitor was displaying his proposal in all its glory. "It's thorough, well-researched, and it makes a compelling case." Ryan waited for the other shoe to drop. There was always another shoe. "Which is why I'm approving it," Olivia continued, "with some modifications. The phased implementation you suggested is smart. We'll start with one shift as a pilot program, measure the results over 60 days, then expand if the data supports it. Anderson, I'll need you to allocate budget for the equipment upgrades. Ryan, you'll need to work with HR on the training protocols." The room had gone very quiet. Anderson looked fully awake now, his mouth slightly open. "You're approving it?" Ryan heard himself say. "Did I stutter?" Olivia's eyebrow arched. "You made a solid business case backed by real numbers. This isn't charity, Mr. Mercer. This is recognizing that the upfront cost will be offset by reduced injuries, lower turnover, and improved efficiency. Exactly what you argued in your proposal." "Right, yeah, Ryan caught himself before he said something stupid like, "I didn't think you'd actually listen." "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're project lead on implementation. Any failures are on your head." But there was something in her eyes that told him she didn't expect failure. She expected him to succeed. The meeting continued. Budget allocations, quarterly projections, efficiency metrics that made Ryan's eyes glaze over. But he noticed things he'd never paid attention to before. The way Olivia listened when people spoke, really listened, even when she disagreed. The way she pushed back on weak arguments but acknowledged good ones. She was demanding, yes. Exacting, absolutely. But she wasn't unfair. 2 hours and 12 minutes later, Olivia closed her laptop. "That's everything. Thank you all for your time. Ryan, stay back a moment. I have some questions about the implementation timeline." The others filed out, Anderson muttering something about needing better coffee. Ryan waited until the door closed behind them, then looked at Olivia. "Implementation timeline?" he asked. "That was an excuse." She stood up, stretching slightly. "I wanted to say that your proposal was good. Really good. I'm sorry I didn't give it a fair hearing the first time." "You were testing me." "I was being stubborn. There's a difference." Olivia walked to the window, looking out over the warehouse floor below. "I have a bad habit of thinking I know best. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Your proposal was one of the times I didn't." Ryan joined her at the window. From up here, he could see Martinez directing a forklift, Thompson checking inventory on his tablet, the constant motion of the warehouse floor. "Why did you really approve it?" he asked quietly. "Because the data supported it. Because it was the right thing to do." Olivia glanced at him. "And maybe because someone recently reminded me that exhausted employees make expensive mistakes, and I'd rather prevent problems than fix them." "Someone sounds smart. He has his moments." Her lip quirked. "How are you after this weekend? After all of this?" "Confused, terrified, cautiously optimistic." Ryan kept his voice low, aware that the conference room had glass walls and curious eyes everywhere. "You?" "The same. I kept wanting to text you yesterday, but I didn't know what to say." Olivia turned to face him fully. "I'm not good at this, Ryan. The personal stuff. I'm much better at the professional stuff." "You seemed pretty good at it on Saturday." "Saturday was different. Saturday was coffee and pizza and your daughter. This is work. I need to be good at keeping them separate." "Okay, so we keep them separate. We're professionals here. Outside of here, we're..." Ryan paused. "What are we exactly?" "I don't know yet, but I'd like to find out." Olivia checked her watch. I have another meeting in 10 minutes. Dinner this week? Somewhere that isn't my company cafeteria or a kid's pizza place. Actual adults having an actual date. Wednesday? Ava has a sleepover at Morgan's. Wednesday works. I'll text you details. She picked up her laptop and files, all business again. And Ryan? Good work on the proposal, really. He watched her leave, her heels clicking efficiently against the tile floor, and tried to reconcile this version of her with the woman who'd solemnly promised Ava that dolphin astronauts were scientifically feasible with the right equipment. His phone buzzed the second he left the conference room. That wasn't so terrible, was it? Ryan smiled and typed back, You could have warned me you were approving it. Where's the fun in that? Besides, your face when I said yes was worth the surprise. Cruel and unusual. I prefer efficient and effective. See you Wednesday. The rest of Monday passed in a blur of logistics and paperwork. Martinez cornered him at lunch wanting details about the loading dock approval, which Ryan deflected by pointing out that Martinez should be more concerned about the training protocols he'd have to implement. Thompson almost cried again, but this time from relief that his concerns about worker safety were finally being addressed. Ryan made it home at 6:15 p.m. to find Ava building an elaborate fort out of couch cushions and Mrs. Chen watching a cooking show on mute. Daddy, I'm making a spaceship. It's for the dolphin astronauts. Ava's head popped out from between two cushions. Do you think Coach Olivia would like it? Mrs. Chen's eyes sharpened with interest. Ryan made a mental note to be more careful about what Ava said in front of the neighborhood intelligence network. I'm sure she'd think it's very creative, Ryan said carefully. Can we invite her for dinner? I want to show her my spaceship. Maybe sometime. She's pretty busy. But you like her, right? And she likes you? That's what people do when they like each other. They have dinner. Mrs. Chen wasn't even pretending not to listen anymore. She'd turned the TV volume completely off and was watching this conversation with the intensity of someone watching a championship game. It's complicated, sweetheart. You keep saying that, but it's not complicated. You smile when you talk about her. That's not complicated. That's called being happy. Out of the mouths of 6-year-olds. Ryan caught Mrs. Chen's eye and saw her nodding sagely. Your daughter is very wise, Mrs. Chen said. Maybe you should listen to her. Maybe you should both mind your own business, Ryan said, but he was smiling. Tuesday crawled by with the special kind of slowness reserved for days when you're waiting for something. Ryan threw himself into work, meeting with HR about training schedules, coordinating with Anderson on budget allocations, fielding questions from Martinez about implementation timelines. He went through the motions, did his job, and tried not to check his phone every 5 minutes. Olivia texted him at 2:47 p.m. Reservation at Marcello's. 7:30 Wednesday. Too fancy? Ryan Googled it. Marcello's was the kind of Italian restaurant that had contemporary in its description and appetizers that cost more than his usual grocery budget. Perfect. Should I bring my good cardboard box to sit on? Very funny. Wear the blue shirt again. I liked it. Yes, ma'am. That's yes, Ms. Bennett during work hours. We're not at work. Good point. In that case, I'm looking forward to it. Wednesday arrived with Ava's boundless excitement about her sleepover with Morgan. She'd packed her overnight bag on Tuesday night, unpacked it Wednesday morning to add Mr. Fluffkins, then repacked it again with a different shirt because the first one wasn't sleepover fancy enough. You know Morgan's just going to let you stay up late watching movies and eating junk food, right? Ryan asked as he drove her across town after school. I know. That's the best part. Ava swung her legs in the back seat. Are you going on another date with Coach Olivia? Ryan had known this question was coming. Ava was many things, but subtle wasn't one of them. Yeah, we're having dinner tonight. Are you going to kiss her? Ava, because in the movies they always kiss on the second date. Or is this the third date? Saturday was the first date, but also kind of the second date because of Friday. So maybe this is actually the fourth date, which means you should definitely kiss her. I'm not taking dating advice from a 6-year-old. Almost 7. And I know things. I watch movies. Ryan pulled up in front of Morgan's house, a cheerful craftsman with a porch swing and flower boxes that made his apartment complex look even more depressing by comparison. Morgan was already at the door, waving enthusiastically. Remember, Ryan said as Ava unbuckled herself. Best behavior. Listen to Aunt Morgan. Bedtime by 9. 10, Ava countered. 9:30. Deal! She grabbed her bag and was out of the car before Ryan could even turn off the engine. Morgan met him on the walkway, her expression somewhere between amused and conspiratorial. "So," she said, "you're seeing her again. How does everyone know everything?" "Mom saw you at the coffee shop. Martinez's wife saw you at the soccer field. Mrs. Chen called me yesterday to ask if I knew you were courting someone. Her words, not mine." Morgan grinned. "Also, you're wearing the blue shirt. Dead giveaway." "I hate all of you." "No, you don't. You're just mad we're all right." She glanced back at the house where Ava was already dragging her cousin toward the stairs. "She's good, you know. Whoever she is, I can tell. You look less exhausted." "I'm still exhausted." "Less exhausted. There's a difference." Morgan's expression softened. "You deserve this, Ryan. Whatever it is, wherever it goes. You deserve to be happy." Ryan didn't know what to say to that, so he just hugged his sister and got back in his car before she could get too sentimental. He made it home with 2 hours to spare before he needed to leave for dinner. 2 hours to shower, shave properly for once, try on 3 different pairs of pants before settling on the same dark jeans he always wore, and have a minor crisis about whether this was all a terrible idea. His phone rang at 6:47 p.m. Unknown number, except when he answered, it was Olivia's voice. "Is calling instead of texting weird?" she asked without preamble. "Little bit. Everything okay?" "I'm nervous. I don't get nervous about dinner. I negotiate million-dollar contracts without breaking a sweat, but apparently dinner with you makes me nervous." She sounded genuinely flustered, which Ryan found both endearing and terrifying. "I'm sitting in my apartment trying to decide if this dress is too formal or not formal enough, and I realized I don't actually know what the protocol is here." "Olivia." "What?" "You're overthinking." "I always overthink. It's part of my charm." Ryan smiled, some of his own nerves settling. "Whatever you're wearing is fine. I'm wearing jeans and the blue shirt you said you liked. We're 2 people having dinner, that's it." "Right, dinner. Simple." She took a breath. "Okay, I'll see you at 7:30. "Looking forward to it." "Me too. And Ryan?" "Yeah?" "Thanks for calling me out when I'm being ridiculous." "That's what I'm here for." Marcello's was everything the website had promised. Soft lighting, exposed brick, tables spaced far enough apart for actual privacy. The hostess led Ryan to a corner booth where Olivia was already waiting, wearing a deep blue dress that made his blue shirt look suddenly inadequate by comparison. "Hi," he said, sliding into the booth across from her. "Hi." Olivia's smile was nervous, genuine, nothing like her CEO smile. "You found it okay?" "GPS is a wonderful invention." "Right. Yes, obviously." She was fidgeting with her napkin, actually fidgeting. "Sorry, I'm being weird. I told you I'm not good at this." "You're doing fine." Ryan reached across the table and gently removed the napkin from her death grip. "Breathe." She did. "This is different from the blind date." "How so?" "That was survival. This is choice. I'm choosing to be here with you, and that's terrifying because it means something." Ryan understood completely. "Yeah, it does." A waiter appeared with menus and water. They ordered wine they probably didn't need and appetizers they definitely didn't need, buying themselves time to settle into whatever this was. "Tell me something about you that I don't know," Ryan said once they were alone again. "Something real." Olivia considered the question. "I hate what I do sometimes. The corporate part, I mean. The meetings and the efficiency metrics and the constant pressure to maximize everything. Some days I sit in my office and think about all the things I could be doing instead." "Like what?" "Teaching, maybe. Actually coaching full-time instead of just weekends. I played soccer in college. Did I mention that?" She traced the rim of her wine glass. "Full scholarship to Princeton. I was good, really good. Got drafted to play professionally in Germany after graduation." "What happened?" "Reality happened. My father had a heart attack my senior year. The family business needed someone to step in. I was the youngest, the only one without a spouse or kids. So I came home, put the soccer career on hold, and stepped into a role I never wanted." Olivia's smile was bitter. "That was 8 years ago. The temporary position became permanent. Dad recovered but never came back to work. My older siblings had their own companies to run. And I was good at it, which somehow made it worse." "Why worse?" "Because if I'd been terrible, I could have quit without guilt. But I'm good at this. Excellent, even. And the company needs me. The employees depend on me. So I keep doing it, day after day, meeting after meeting, until sometimes I forget what I actually wanted to be when I grew up. Ryan sat with that for a moment. Is that why you coach? To remember. Maybe, or maybe I'm just trying to give those kids something I didn't have, permission to play instead of constantly optimizing. She looked up at him. Your turn. Something real. I'm terrified I'm screwing up Ava. Every single day I'm terrified. That I'm working too much or not enough. That I'm too strict or too lenient. That she'll grow up and realize her dad had no idea what he was doing and she deserved better. She adores you. Now. But what about in 10 years, 15, when she's old enough to understand that her mother chose to leave and I couldn't make her stay? Ryan's throat felt tight. I keep waiting for the moment when I fail her in some irreparable way. Olivia reached across the table and took his hand. You're not going to fail her. You're doing everything right. You don't know that. I see how she looks at you, how she talks about you. That kid is loved, and she knows it. That's not failure, Ryan. That's success in the only way that actually matters. Their food arrived, breaking the moment. They ate and talked about lighter things. Ava's upcoming birthday, Olivia's disastrous attempt to cook last week that ended with the fire alarm and takeout, Ryan's collection of truly terrible action movies that he watched when he couldn't sleep. Wait, Olivia said. You actually own all 7 Death Wish movies? All 7, plus the remake. That's actually impressive in a concerning way. I contain multitudes. Apparently, she was laughing now, really laughing. What else? What other terrible movies do you secretly love? They're not terrible, they're classics of the genre. The genre being in things that should never have been filmed? You're a snob. I'm discerning. There's a difference. They argued cheerfully about movies through dessert, Olivia defending European art films, Ryan standing firm on the artistic merit of explosions and one-liners. It was ridiculous and perfect, and exactly what Ryan hadn't realized he needed. Outside the restaurant, standing in the parking lot under streetlights that turned everything orange, Ryan walked Olivia to her car. I had a really good time, she said. Yeah, me too. We should do this again, soon, unless you're sick of me already. Not even close. Ryan stepped closer. Can I ask you something? Depends what you're asking. That thing Ava said, about the second date kiss. He saw Olivia's expression shift, something nervous and hopeful flickering across her features. She watches too many movies, obviously, but Ryan. Yeah? Stop talking. Olivia kissed him. It was brief and soft and tasted like the chocolate they'd shared for dessert. When she pulled back, her cheeks were flushed and she was smiling. Was that okay? She asked. I know we said slow, but that was perfect. They stood there for another moment, neither quite ready to leave. I'll see you at practice Saturday, Olivia said finally. Wouldn't miss it. And maybe coffee after. Just the two of us this time? I'd like that. Ryan watched her drive away, then sat in his own car for a solid 5 minutes, just processing. He'd kissed Olivia Bennett. Or she'd kissed him. Either way, it had happened, and the world hadn't ended, and he was pretty sure he was grinning like an idiot. His phone buzzed with a text from Morgan. Ava wants to know if you kissed her. I told her to mind her business, but she's very insistent. Ryan typed back. Tell her maybe. And that it's none of her business. She says maybe means yes. She's doing a victory dance in the living room. She gets that from you. Probably. So? Are you happy? Ryan looked at the restaurant in his rear-view mirror, at the empty parking space where Olivia's car had been, at the city lights spreading out in all directions. Yeah, I think I am. The rest of the week passed in a pleasant blur. Work, home, Ava, stolen text conversations with Olivia that ranged from work complaints to debates about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. Thursday night, Olivia sent him a photo of her refrigerator with Ava's dolphin astronaut drawing prominently displayed on the door, held up by a magnet that said Boss Lady. Friday afternoon, Ryan's loading dock proposal officially went into effect. The first shift ran the new protocols, and by the end of the day, Thompson reported 0 injuries and actually smiled, which Ryan was pretty sure was a first. Saturday arrived with Ava practically vibrating with excitement about soccer practice. She'd been practicing her corner kicks in the parking lot all week, much to Mrs. Chen's alarm and the other residents' amusement. Do you think Coach Olivia will notice I got better? Ava asked for the 15th time as Ryan drove to Morrison Park. I think she notices everything. Is she your girlfriend now? Ryan had been dreading this question all week. We're dating. That's different from girlfriend. How is it different? It just is. We're still figuring things out. But you like her. Yeah, I like her. And she likes you. I think so. And I like her. So that means we all like each other. That's basically a family. Ava's logic was airtight in the way only a 6-year-old's could be. When's she moving in? Ava, I'm just asking. I need to know if I should clean my room. Practice was good. Great, actually. Ava nailed a corner kick that made Olivia beam with pride, and Lucas finally figured out how to properly trap the ball instead of just kicking it as hard as possible in random directions. Ryan stood on the sidelines with the other parents, trying not to be too obvious about watching Olivia more than the actual soccer game. He failed. Sophia definitely noticed. You and Coach Olivia seem friendly, she observed with the subtlety of a freight train. Yeah, friendly. Uh-huh. Martinez mentioned you've been in a good mood lately. Coincidence? Everything is a coincidence if you don't think about it too hard. Sophia laughed. Fair enough. For what it's worth, she's been different the last couple weeks too. Smiling more, less intense. I was wondering what changed. Ryan didn't know what to say to that, so he was saved by the end of practice whistle. The kids circled up for their favorite moment sharing. Ava declared that her favorite moment was the kick where I didn't fall down and it went in the right direction, which earned applause from the other kids. Parents collected their children. Ryan helped Olivia gather the cones, a routine they'd fallen into without discussion. Coffee? Olivia asked once the field was clear. Ava's with me. I know, I was asking both of you. They ended up at the same cafe as before. Ava immediately claimed her window table and started drawing on the placemats again. This time what appeared to be a soccer-playing astronaut riding a dolphin. Her artistic vision is very consistent, Olivia observed. She knows what she likes. They ordered their drinks and settled in. Ava chattered about practice, about school, about the upcoming bake sale that Ryan had completely forgotten about until Sophia had reminded him yesterday. Olivia listened with genuine interest, asking questions and contributing ideas about what kind of cookies would sell best. Definitely chocolate chip, Ava declared. Everyone likes chocolate chip. It's science. Sound reasoning, Olivia agreed solemnly. Ryan watched them together and felt that dangerous hope bloom larger in his chest. This, right here, right now, felt like something real. Something that could, maybe, possibly, if he didn't screw it up, turn into the kind of life he'd stopped letting himself imagine. His phone rang. Morgan. He almost didn't answer, but Morgan never called unless it was important. Hey, where are you? Morgan's voice was tight with something Ryan couldn't identify. Not panic, but close. Coffee shop near Morrison Park. Why? You need to come pick up Ava, now. Ryan's entire body went cold. What happened? Is she okay? Ava's fine. She's upstairs watching TV, but Ryan… Morgan paused. Jessica's here. She showed up 10 minutes ago asking to see Ava. I told her no, told her to leave, but she's sitting in her car outside refusing to go until she talks to you. The world tilted sideways. Ryan was aware of Olivia's hand on his arm, of Ava looking up from her drawing with concern, but everything felt distant and muffled. Jessica. After 3 years of silence, after signing away her rights, disappearing to California, becoming nothing more than a painful memory Ryan tried not to think about. She was back, and everything Ryan had carefully built, the fragile balance of his life, the tentative hope of something new with Olivia, the protective bubble he'd created around Ava, suddenly felt like it was about to shatter. Ryan's hands were shaking so badly he nearly dropped his phone. He stood up from the table without consciously deciding to move, his chair scraping against the cafe floor loud enough that several people looked up from their laptops. I have to go, he said to Morgan, his voice sounding strange and distant to his own ears. Keep Ava inside. Don't let her see Jessica. Don't let her anywhere near… Ryan, breathe. I've got this locked down. Ava doesn't even know anything's wrong, but you need to get here and deal with this before she figures it out. He hung up and just stood there, his mind racing too fast to form coherent thoughts. Jessica. Here. Now. After 3 years of nothing, she'd just shown up like she had any right to be part of their lives. Ryan. Olivia's voice cut through the static in his head. She was standing now too, her hand still on his arm. What happened? I need to... He looked at Ava, who was watching him with growing alarm. We have to go, right now. Daddy? Ava's voice was small. What's wrong? Is Aunt Morgan okay? She's fine, baby. We just need to pick something up from her house. The lie tasted like ash, but he couldn't tell her the truth. Not here. Not like this. Maybe not ever. Olivia gathered their things without being asked, her movements efficient and calm, even as Ryan felt like he was coming apart. She handed him Ava's drawing, her jacket, guided them toward the door with a hand on his back that was the only thing keeping him grounded. Outside, in the parking lot, Ryan fumbled with his car keys. Dropped them. Picked them up. Dropped them again. Let me drive, Olivia said quietly. You don't need to... I'm driving. Give me the keys. Something in her voice, that CEO authority that usually made him bristle, was exactly what he needed right now. He handed over the keys. Ava climbed into the back seat without protest, sensing that something was very wrong even if she didn't understand what. Olivia adjusted the driver's seat, started the engine, pulled out of the parking lot with the same calm precision she probably brought to every crisis. Where am I going? She asked. Ryan gave her Morgan's address, then pulled out his phone and texted his sister. 10 minutes. Don't engage with her. I mean it. Morgan's response came immediately. Too late. She's at the door. Says she's not leaving until she sees you. Ryan wanted to put his fist through something. Instead, he typed back. Call the cops if you have to. I'm almost there. Who's Jessica? Ava asked from the back seat. Ryan's entire body went rigid. He met Olivia's eyes briefly, saw his own panic reflected there. Someone Daddy used to know, he said carefully. No one you need to worry about. But Aunt Morgan said, Ava, please, not right now. The silence in the car was suffocating. Olivia drove 5 miles over the speed limit, which for her was probably the equivalent of reckless abandon. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Do you want me to stay? She asked quietly. Or would it be better if I dropped you off and stay? The word came out more desperately than Ryan intended. Please, I can't do this alone. Okay, I'm staying. They made it to Morgan's house in 8 minutes. Jessica's car was exactly where Morgan had said it would be. A silver Honda Civic parked at the curb, California plates, someone sitting in the driver's seat. Ryan couldn't see her face from this angle, which was probably for the best because he wasn't sure what he'd do if he had to look at her right now. Morgan was on the porch, arms crossed, looking like she was 3 seconds from committing violence. She saw Ryan's car and came down the steps immediately. Ava, honey, Olivia said, turning in her seat. How about you go inside with your Aunt Morgan? I think your dad needs to handle some grown-up stuff out here. Is it about the lady in the car? Ava's voice was too knowing. Is that my mom? The question hit Ryan like a physical blow. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't figure out how Ava had made that leap from a stranger in a car to the mother who'd left her as a baby. Sweetheart, he started, I'm not stupid, Daddy. I know what Mom looks like. I've seen the pictures you keep in the box under your bed. Of course she had. Because Ava was curious and fearless and missed nothing, and Ryan should have known she'd go looking for answers to questions he'd been avoiding for years. Morgan opened the back door and gently extracted Ava from her car seat. Come on, kiddo, let's go inside and finish that movie. The adults will handle this. But I want to meet her. Not today. Today you're going to watch cartoons and eat ice cream and let your dad deal with this mess. Morgan's voice was firm but kind. She met Ryan's eyes over Ava's head and mouthed, I'm sorry. Ryan watched his daughter get shepherded into the house, her face pressed against the window as Morgan closed the door. Then he turned to look at the silver Honda. Jessica had gotten out of the car. She looked different. Older, obviously. 3 years would do that. Her hair was shorter, sun-bleached in a way that suggested California beaches and a life spent nowhere near Ohio. She was wearing jeans and a sweater that probably cost more than Ryan's entire wardrobe. Sunglasses hid her eyes. She stood by her car like she wasn't sure whether to approach or run. Her hands were shoved in her pockets. Ryan got out of his car slowly. Olivia followed, and he didn't have the energy to tell her to stay back. He needed her there, needed someone solid and real beside him. Ryan, Jessica said. Her voice was exactly the same, and that made everything worse somehow. What are you doing here? His voice came out flat, emotionless. Good. Emotions were dangerous right now. I needed to see you, to see Ava, to explain. Explain what? How you abandoned your 4-month-old daughter, how you signed away all your parental rights and disappeared for 3 years? I'm really curious what explanation makes any of that okay. Jessica flinched. I know I don't have the right to show up like this. I know I hurt you both, but I've been trying to get better, to figure out who I am. And my therapist said, Your therapist. Ryan laughed, and it sounded broken even to his own ears. Your therapist thought ambushing your ex-husband and the kid you abandoned was a good idea? What kind of therapy are you paying for? That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Ryan took a step forward, and Olivia's hand found his arm, steadying him. You left us. You didn't just leave me, which would have been bad enough. You left Ava. She was 4 months old and she needed her mother, and you walked away like we meant nothing. I was drowning. Jessica's voice cracked. I had postpartum depression and anxiety, and I didn't know how to ask for help. Every time I looked at her, I felt like I was failing, like I was ruining her life just by being there. So you decided ruining her life by not being there was better? I thought you'd be better off without me. Both of you. You don't get to make that decision for us. Ryan's hands were clenched into fists at his sides. You don't get to decide what we needed. You took the coward's way out, and now you show up 3 years later expecting what? Forgiveness? Understanding? I'm not expecting anything. I just wanted to see her, to tell you I'm sorry, to maybe... Jessica's voice broke completely. I want to be part of her life again. The words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. No, Ryan said. Absolutely not. You don't get to do this. You signed papers, legal documents. You gave up that right. Rights can be reinstated. I've talked to a lawyer. You've talked to a lawyer? Ryan's voice rose. You're threatening legal action after everything you've already done? I'm not threatening anything. I'm just saying that if we can't work this out between us, there are legal options. Get off my sister's property. Ryan's voice was shaking now. Get in your car, drive back to California, and stay the hell away from my daughter. Our daughter? No, mine. I'm the one who's been there for every nightmare, every fever, every first day of school. I'm the one who held her when she cried asking why her mommy didn't want her. You don't get to claim her now that the hard part is over. Jessica was crying behind her sunglasses. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'm asking anyway. Please, Ryan, let me see her just for a few minutes. I promise I won't. Your promises mean nothing to me. They never did. Ryan turned toward the house. We're done here. Ryan, wait. He said you're done. Olivia's voice was ice cold, and Ryan had never been more grateful for her CEO persona. You need to leave. Now. Jessica looked at Olivia for the first time, really looked at her. Who are you? Someone who actually shows up. Olivia stepped forward, positioning herself slightly in front of Ryan. You heard him. Leave. This doesn't concern you. It concerns me because it concerns him, and you're upsetting him, which means I'm making it my business. Olivia pulled out her phone. Would you like me to call the police, or are you going to walk away on your own? Jessica stared at them both for a long moment. Then she got back in her car, started the engine, and drove away without another word. Ryan stood there watching her taillights disappear down the street, his whole body shaking with adrenaline and rage, and something that felt uncomfortably like grief. When he was sure she was really gone, his legs gave out and he sat down hard on the curb. Olivia sat down beside him, not touching, just present. I can't breathe, Ryan said. Yes, you can. In through your nose, out through your mouth. With me. She demonstrated, and Ryan tried to follow. His breath came in ragged gasps at first, then slowly evened out. They sat there for several minutes, Ryan focusing on breathing while Olivia just waited. Finally, he trusted himself to speak. I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't apologize. That woman had no right to show up like this. She's Ava's mother. Biology doesn't make you a parent. Showing up makes you a parent. You show up every single day. Olivia's voice was fierce. She has no claim on you or Ava. None. She said she talked to a lawyer about reinstating her rights. The words tasted like poison. Let her try. You have 3 years of documentation showing sole custody, showing that she voluntarily terminated her parental rights. No judge is going to overturn that on a whim. Olivia paused. Do you have a lawyer? I had one. For the divorce. I don't know if I still... I'll make some calls. Monday morning. We'll get you the best family law attorney in the state if we have to. She was in CEO mode now, solving problems, and Ryan was too exhausted to argue. She's not taking Ava. I won't let that happen. Ryan looked at her. This isn't your fight. It became my fight the moment I decided I cared about you and Ava. So yes, it is my fight now. Her expression softened. Unless you don't want my help, if this is too much, too fast, I'll understand. I want your help. I need your help. Ryan ran his hands through his hair. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to protect Ava from this, from her. We'll figure it out, together. Olivia stood up and offered him her hand. But right now, you need to go inside and check on your daughter. She's probably terrified. Ryan let Olivia pull him to his feet. His legs felt shaky, but he made it to Morgan's front door. His sister opened it before he could knock, her face tight with worry. Ava's upstairs. I told her you were handling something important and she'd see you in a few minutes. Morgan looked past him to where Jessica's car had been. She's gone? For now. What does that mean? It means I have no idea what happens next. Ryan squeezed Morgan's shoulder. Thanks for keeping Ava inside. I know that couldn't have been easy. She asked about the pictures, the ones under your bed. Ryan, she knows. Yeah, I figured. He took a breath. Can I talk to her? Of course. She's in the guest room, pretending to watch TV, but mostly just staring at the door waiting for you. Ryan climbed the stairs, feeling like he was walking to his own execution. The guest room door was open. Ava was sitting cross-legged on the bed, Mr. Fluffkins in her lap, the TV playing some cartoon she clearly wasn't watching. She looked up when he appeared in the doorway. Was that really my mom? She asked. Ryan sat down on the edge of the bed. Yeah, that was her. Why was she here? I don't know, baby. I think she wanted to see us. Does she want to come back? Ava's voice was small and careful, like she was afraid of the answer. I don't know what she wants, but I do know that nothing is going to change. You and me, we're a team. That doesn't change no matter who shows up. Ava was quiet for a moment, picking at Mr. Fluffkin's worn fur. Do you still love her? The question punched Ryan in the chest. No, I don't. I did once, a long time ago, but not anymore. Do you love Coach Olivia? Ryan had not expected the conversation to turn this direction. That's different. How? It just is. Coach Olivia and we're figuring things out. It's new and complicated. But you like her more than you liked Mom. Where is this coming from, Ava? I'm not stupid. Ava looked up at him with those two old eyes. I know Mom left because she didn't want me. Aunt Morgan told me once, when she thought I wasn't listening, she said Mom got scared and ran away. Ryan closed his eyes briefly, making a mental note to have words with his sister later. That's not your fault. You know that, right? Your mom leaving had nothing to do with you being you. You're perfect. She couldn't handle being a parent. Some people can't. Are you scared I'll leave too, like Mom did? What? No, Ava, you're 6. You're not going anywhere. But someday I will. I'll grow up and go to college and get my own house. Ava's lip trembled. And you'll be alone again. Ryan pulled his daughter into his arms, holding her tight. First of all, you're almost 7, not almost 30. We have a lot of time before college. Second, even when you grow up, you'll still be my daughter. That doesn't change. And third, he pulled back to look at her. I'm not alone. I have you. I have Aunt Morgan. I have Mrs. Chen, who won't stop bringing us cookies. And I have Coach Olivia, who's downstairs right now probably planning how to fix everything because that's what she does. She's really good at fixing things. Ava wiped her nose with the back of her hand. She helped me fix my corner kick. See? Problem solver. Is she your girlfriend now? For real? Ryan thought about Olivia sitting beside him on the curb, breathing with him, promising to help fight a battle that wasn't technically hers. Yeah, I think she is. Good. I like her. She makes you smile. Ava snuggled closer. Can we go home now? I'm tired. Yeah, baby, we can go home. Downstairs, Morgan and Olivia were in the kitchen, having what looked like an intense conversation that stopped the moment Ryan appeared with Ava. Everything okay? Morgan asked. We're okay. We're going to head home. Ryan looked at Olivia. Can we give you a ride back to your car? I'll drive you both home, then take an Uber back to get mine. Olivia's tone left no room for argument. You've had enough stress for one day. The drive home was quiet. Ava fell asleep in the back seat within 5 minutes, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster. Ryan stared out the window, his mind still racing with everything that had happened, everything that could still happen. She meant what she said, Ryan said finally. About the lawyer. Jessica doesn't make empty threats. Neither do I. We'll handle it. Olivia glanced at him. Has she tried to contact you before today? No, nothing. Not a single text or call in 3 years. I don't even know how she knew where to find us. Social media? Maybe. Morgan posts pictures sometimes. I don't have any accounts, but Ryan trailed off. It doesn't matter how she found us. What matters is what happens next. What happens next is you document everything, the time she showed up, what she said, how long she's been absent, every detail. Olivia's jaw was set, and we make it very clear that any attempt to disrupt Ava's life will be met with the full force of the legal system. You sound like a CEO. I am a CEO, and I'm very good at making problems go away. Ryan almost smiled. Almost. I'm glad you were there today. I don't know what I would have done if you would have handled it, because you're a good father who protects his daughter. Olivia pulled up in front of Ryan's apartment building. But I'm glad I was there too. She helped him get Ava inside, the little girl barely stirring as Ryan carried her to bed. He tucked her in with Mr. Fluffkins, kissed her forehead, and stood in the doorway for a long moment just watching her sleep. Back in the living room, Olivia was standing by the window, looking out at the parking lot like she was expecting Jessica to materialize out of nowhere. She won't come here, Ryan said. She's too smart for that. If she shows up at my home uninvited, that's grounds for a restraining order. You should file for one anyway. Based on what? One unwanted conversation on a public street? Based on 3 years of abandonment, followed by threatening legal action to disrupt a stable home environment. Olivia turned to face him. I'm serious, Ryan. You need to protect yourself and Ava. This woman has already proven she can't be trusted. I know, you're right. Ryan sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted. I thought this part was over. I thought I'd moved past all of this. And then she just shows up, and I'm right back to being that person whose life fell apart. Olivia sat down beside him, close enough that their knees touched. Your life didn't fall apart. It changed. And you built something better from the pieces. Don't let her take that away from you. What if she gets a judge who thinks kids need their mothers? What if some court decides that 3 years isn't that long and she deserves another chance? Then we fight it. With lawyers and documentation and every resource I have access to. Olivia took his hand. I meant what I said earlier. This is my fight now too. Ryan looked at their joined hands, at this woman who'd gone from corporate adversary to blind date disaster to something he didn't have words for yet. Why are you doing this? We've been dating for what, 2 weeks? You don't owe me this level of commitment. It's not about owing, it's about wanting to be here. Olivia met his eyes. I care about you, Ryan, and I care about Ava. What kind of person would I be if I walked away the second things got difficult? A normal person. This is a lot to take on. I don't do normal very well, in case you hadn't noticed. She squeezed his hand. Besides, you walked into a business meeting with me knowing I'd probably shoot down your ideas. You showed up to coffee knowing your daughter would interrogate both of us. You kissed me in a parking lot even though it complicated everything. The least I can do is show up when it actually matters. Ryan felt something in his chest crack open, something that felt dangerous and terrifying and a lot like falling in love. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway. Olivia stood up, pulling him to his feet. I should go. You need sleep, and I need to make some phone calls to people who owe me favors in the legal community. It's Saturday night. Can't that wait until Monday? The best lawyers don't keep office hours. They keep my number and answer when I call because I pay them obscene amounts of money for that privilege. She headed for the door, then paused. Text me if you need anything, and I mean anything, even if it's 3 in the morning and you just need someone to talk to. Olivia? Yeah? Thank you for everything. She smiled, and it was the real smile, not the CEO smile. That's what girlfriends do, right? Show up when things get messy. Is that what you are? My girlfriend? I think after today we've earned the title. She kissed him, brief and sweet. Get some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow. Ryan watched her leave, waited until he heard her car drive away, then locked the door and leaned against it. The apartment was quiet except for Ava's soft breathing from her bedroom. His phone buzzed with a text from Morgan. You okay? Getting there. Thanks for today. That's what family does. Let me know if she comes back. I'll handle her less nicely next time. Ryan smiled despite everything. His family was small but fierce, and apparently now it included a CEO who threatened to call the police on his ex-wife without batting an eye. He checked on Ava one more time, then collapsed into his own bed still fully clothed. Sleep should have come easily after the day he'd had, but instead he lay there staring at the ceiling, his mind replaying the confrontation with Jessica over and over. His phone buzzed again. Olivia, stop overthinking. Whatever you're worrying about, we'll handle it. Now go to sleep. How did you know I was still awake? Because I know you. Sleep, Ryan. Tomorrow's a new day. He wanted to argue, wanted to tell her that knowing someone after 2 weeks wasn't really knowing them at all. But she'd seen him at his worst today, seen him broken and angry and scared, and she hadn't run. That had to count for something. Good night, Olivia. Good night. And Ryan? We're going to get through this, trust me. Ryan set his phone aside and closed his eyes, choosing to believe her because the alternative was too overwhelming to consider. Somewhere in California, Jessica was probably regretting showing up unannounced. Somewhere in the city, Olivia was probably already making phone calls to lawyers who'd rather not be working on a Saturday night, but would do it anyway because when Olivia Bennett asked for something, people delivered. And here, in his cramped apartment with its water-stained ceiling and neighbors who played music too loud, Ryan had a daughter who loved him and a girlfriend who fought for him, and a life that wasn't perfect but was his. Jessica could threaten all the legal action she wanted. She could hire the best lawyers money could buy. But she couldn't change the fact that Ryan had been there every single day for 3 years while she'd been absent. She couldn't erase the bond he'd built with Ava, the trust and love that came from showing up even when it was hard. He thought about Olivia's words on the curb. Biology doesn't make you a parent. Showing up makes you a parent. Ryan had shown up every single day since Ava was born. He'd show up tomorrow and the day after that, and every day for the rest of his life. Because that's what parents did. And now, apparently, he wouldn't be showing up alone anymore. That thought finally let him sleep. Sunday morning arrived with Ava climbing into Ryan's bed at 6:47 a.m., which was actually sleeping in by her standards. She burrowed under the covers next to him, Mr. Fluffkins wedged between them, and didn't say anything for a long moment. I had a bad dream, she finally whispered. Ryan pulled her closer. About what? That lady, the one from yesterday. She took me away and you couldn't find me. Ava's voice was muffled against his shoulder. You were calling my name, but I couldn't hear you. That's not going to happen, baby girl. I promise. No one is taking you anywhere. But what if she comes back? What if she has the police with her and they make me go? Ryan's heart clenched. 6 years old and already worrying about custody battles and legal authority. This was exactly what he'd been trying to protect her from. The police don't work like that. They don't just take kids away from their dads because someone shows up and asks. He smoothed her hair back from her face. You're safe here. With me. That's not changing. Promise? I promise. Ava was quiet again, thinking. Does she want to be my mom now? Like, for real? I don't know what she wants. But even if she did, it doesn't change anything. I'm your parent. I'm the one who's been here. That matters more than anything else. Coach Olivia said biology doesn't make you a parent. Ava looked up at him. She told me that yesterday when you were talking to that lady. She said showing up is what counts. Ryan made a mental note to thank Olivia for that later. She's right, and I've shown up every single day since you were born. That's not stopping now. What if I want to meet her? That lady. My mom. Ava said it quickly, like she was afraid of his reaction. Would that make you sad? The question hit harder than Ryan expected. He wanted to say no, wanted to be the bigger person who put his daughter's curiosity ahead of his own feelings. But lying to Ava had never worked before, and it wouldn't work now. Yeah, it would make me sad and scared, but if you really wanted to meet her someday, when you're older, I wouldn't stop you. Ryan swallowed past the lump in his throat. But right now, I think it's better if we just focus on us, on our life, on the people who are actually here. Like Coach Olivia? Yeah, like Coach Olivia. I like her a lot. She's nice and she's smart, and she doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby. Ava played with the edge of the blanket. Is she going to stay? Or is she going to leave like Mom did? I don't think she's going anywhere, sweetheart, but I can't predict the future. All I know is that right now, she's here, and she cares about us. Good. Because if she left, I think you'd be really sad, even sadder than when Mom left. Ryan didn't know what to say to that, so he just held his daughter and tried not to think about how terrifyingly accurate she was. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Olivia, right on schedule. Morning. How's Ava? Had a nightmare. We're working through it. I'm coming over. Don't argue. Ryan started to type a response about how she didn't need to do that, how they'd be fine, but deleted it. The truth was, he wanted her there. Needed her there, maybe. Bring coffee, the good stuff. Already in the car. 23 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Ava ran to answer it before Ryan could stop her, throwing it open to reveal Olivia standing there in jeans and a sweater, holding a cardboard carrier with 3 coffee cups and a bakery bag. Coach Olivia, you brought donuts! Ava grabbed the bag before anyone could protest. Daddy, can I have one for breakfast? It's barely 7 in the morning. But they're donuts. Donuts are always appropriate. Ava was already digging through the bag. Ooh, there's a chocolate one with sprinkles. Olivia looked at Ryan over Ava's head, her expression somewhere between amused and concerned. I wasn't sure what you needed, so I brought sugar and caffeine. Perfect combination. Ryan took one of the coffee cups, noting it was exactly how he liked it. Black, no sugar. She'd remembered from their first dinner. You didn't have to come over. I wanted to, is that okay? Yeah, it's more than okay. They settled in the living room, Ava demolishing a chocolate donut, while simultaneously explaining her elaborate theory about dolphin astronauts and why NASA should seriously consider it. Olivia listened with the same attention she probably gave board presentations, occasionally asking questions that sent Ava into even more detailed explanations. Ryan watched them together and felt that dangerous hope expand in his chest again. This, right here, this quiet Sunday morning with donuts and coffee and his daughter talking a mile a minute, this felt like family. Not the family he'd planned for, not the family he'd imagined when he was 24 and thought he had everything figured out, but a family nonetheless. His phone rang. Unknown number. Ryan almost didn't answer, but something made him check. California area code. He stepped into the kitchen, leaving Olivia and Ava discussing the oxygen requirements for dolphins in space. Hello? Ryan? It's Jessica. He closed his eyes briefly. How did you get this number? That's not important. I need to talk to you. Really talk, not like yesterday. Can we meet somewhere? Just the two of us? No. Ryan, please. I know I handled yesterday badly. I shouldn't have just shown up like that. But I'm not going away. I've come too far to just turn around now. What do you want, Jessica? Actually want, not the therapy speak version. She was quiet for a moment. I want to know my daughter. I want to be part of her life. I want to fix what I broke. You can't fix this. Some things, once they're broken, they stay broken. Ryan kept his voice low, aware that Ava could probably hear him from the other room. You left. You signed papers. You made your choice. I was sick, postpartum depression, anxiety. I could barely get out of bed most days. Every time I looked at Ava, I felt like I was drowning. Jessica's voice cracked. I thought leaving was the kindest thing I could do for both of you. You could have gotten help, therapy, medication, support. I would have helped you. We could have figured it out together. I know that now, but back then all I could see was how much I was failing, how much better off you'd both be without me. She took a shaky breath. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm just asking for a chance to know her, even if it's supervised visits, even if it's just letters, something. Ryan wanted to hang up, wanted to block the number and pretend this conversation never happened. But a small part of him, the part that remembered loving this woman once, the part that understood mental illness wasn't a choice, hesitated. "I need to think about it," he said finally. "Okay, that's fair. Can I call you again? In a few days?" "I don't know. Maybe." Ryan rubbed his free hand over his face. "Jessica, if you're serious about this, you need to understand something. Ava comes first. Not your guilt, not your therapy goals, not your need to make things right. Her well-being comes before everything else. If seeing you would hurt her, the answer is no. End of discussion." "I understand." "Do you? Because you didn't understand that 3 years ago when you left. I'm different now. I'm better. I've been in therapy for 2 years. I'm on medication that actually works. I have a support system. I'm not that person anymore." "Prove it. Give me your therapist's name. Give me documentation showing you've been stable. Give me something that shows you're not going to disappear again the second things get hard." "I can do that. I'll email you everything tomorrow." Ryan hung up without saying goodbye. When he turned around, Olivia was standing in the kitchen doorway. "That was her," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yeah, she wants to meet, to talk, to be part of Ava's life." Ryan leaned against the counter. "I told her I'd think about it." "Are you actually considering it?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to tell her to go to hell, but part of me thinks, what if she really has changed? What if Ava grows up and resents me for keeping her mother away?" Olivia crossed the room, took his hands in hers. "You're a good father. Whatever you decide, it will be because you're trying to do what's best for Ava. There's no wrong answer here." "Feels like every option is wrong." "Then pick the option you can live with, the one that lets you sleep at night." She squeezed his hands. "But if you do decide to let her see Ava, we do it the right way. Legal agreements, supervised visits, therapist involved. No more ambushes." "We? You think I'm sitting this out? I told you, this is my fight too now." From the living room, Ava called out, "Daddy! Coach Olivia! Come watch this video about dolphins. They're so smart." Ryan and Olivia exchanged a look, and despite everything, Ryan found himself almost smiling. "We should probably go watch videos about dolphins." "Probably. Though I should warn you, I'm going to side with her about the NASA thing. Dolphin astronauts could absolutely work with the right funding. You're both ridiculous. That's why you like us." They spent the rest of Sunday being deliberately, aggressively normal. They watched dolphin videos. They went to the park, and Ava practiced her corner kicks while Olivia coached, and Ryan pretended not to be constantly checking over his shoulder for Jessica's car. They ordered Thai food for dinner because Ava had never tried it and insisted she was very sophisticated now and could handle spicy food. She could not handle spicy food, but she was a good sport about it. Olivia left around 8 after helping clean up the dishes and reading Ava 2 chapters of her current favorite book about a girl who discovers she can talk to animals. At the door, she kissed Ryan softly. "You okay?" she asked. "Getting there. Thanks for today, for being here." "Where else would I be?" She touched his face gently. "Call me if you need anything, and I mean that." "I know you do. That's the scary part." "What's scary about it?" "Believing you mean it. Believing you'll actually stay." Ryan looked down. "Everyone leaves eventually." "Not everyone. I'm still here. I'm planning on staying here." Olivia waited until he met her eyes. "I know it's only been a few weeks. I know this is fast and complicated and probably insane, but I'm not going anywhere, Ryan. You're stuck with me." "Promise?" "I don't make promises I can't keep. So, yeah, I promise." Monday morning brought the reality Ryan had been avoiding. Work, normalcy, pretending his entire world hadn't shifted over the weekend. He dropped Ava at school, watched her run inside with her backpack bouncing, and tried not to think about Jessica's request. At work, Martinez cornered him within 10 minutes. "You look terrible. What happened?" "Long weekend. Didn't sleep well." "That's not an answer." Martinez followed Ryan to the loading dock. "Come on, man. Something's wrong. You've got that look." "What look?" "The one you had right after your divorce. Like you're barely holding it together." Ryan considered brushing him off, but Martinez was persistent, and honestly, keeping this bottled up was making him crazy. Ava's mom showed up on Saturday, out of nowhere, after 3 years. The words came out flat. She wants to be part of Ava's life again. Martinez's expression went from concerned to furious in about half a second. Are you serious? After abandoning you both? She just shows up and expects, I know. Believe me, I know. What are you going to do? No idea. She says she's changed. Says she was sick, got help, wants another chance. Ryan picked up a clipboard, needing something to do with his hands. Part of me thinks she deserves to burn in hell. Part of me thinks Ava deserves to know her mother if Jessica's actually stable now. What does Olivia think? Ryan looked up sharply. How do you know about Olivia? Please. Sophia saw you two at the coffee shop looking very not just friends. And Morgan's wife mentioned something at church. The secret's out, man. Martinez grinned, but it faded quickly. So what does she think? About the ex showing up? That we handle it legally, carefully, with Ava's best interests first. Smart woman. Yeah, she is. Ryan made it through Monday on autopilot. Tuesday brought an email from Jessica with attachments, therapy records, medical documentation, a letter from her psychiatrist confirming her diagnosis and treatment plan. Everything he'd asked for. It made the decision simultaneously easier and harder. Wednesday afternoon, Olivia called him at work. I found you a lawyer, Catherine Mills, best family law attorney in the state. She had a cancellation and can meet with you tomorrow at 4. Can you make it? Tomorrow? That's fast. I told her it was urgent. She owes me a favor from a case 3 years ago. Olivia's voice softened. You don't have to decide anything tomorrow, but talking to her will help you understand your options. Will you come with me? Do you want me there? Yeah, I do. Then I'll be there. Thursday at 3:47 p.m., Ryan sat in a conference room downtown that made Bellamy's restaurant look casual by comparison. Catherine Mills was exactly what Ryan expected from someone Olivia recommended. Sharp, professional, and expensive-looking in the way that suggested her hourly rate could probably fund a small country. She listened to his entire story without interrupting, occasionally making notes on a legal pad. When he finished, she sat back and studied him. Okay, here's the reality. Jessica voluntarily terminated her parental rights. That's significant, but rights can be reinstated if she can prove changed circumstances and that it's in Ava's best interest. Catherine flipped through the documents Jessica had sent. This helps her case, actually. She's got documentation of mental illness, treatment, stability. A sympathetic judge might see it as a mother who was sick getting better and wanting to reconnect. Ryan's stomach dropped. So she could win. She could. But that doesn't mean she will. Catherine leaned forward. The burden of proof is on her to show that reinstating her rights serves Ava's best interest. You have 3 years of sole custody, stable home environment, and a child who by all accounts is thriving. That's powerful. So what do I do? You have options. 1, you refuse all contact and let her file a motion if she wants. If she does, we fight it aggressively. 2, you agree to supervised visitation as a trial period. If it goes well, great. If Jessica proves unstable or if Ava struggles, we have documentation to oppose any formal custody arrangement. What would you recommend? Catherine glanced at Olivia, then back at Ryan. Honestly, option 2, with strict parameters. Supervised visits, therapist involved for Ava, written agreement that this doesn't constitute acceptance of her parental rights. It gives you control of the narrative and shows a judge, if it ever gets that far, that you're acting in good faith. But what if seeing Jessica messes Ava up? What if it's worse for her? That's why we involve a child psychologist from day one. They assess Ava's readiness, supervise the visits, and provide professional opinion if this ends up in court. Catherine's expression softened slightly. Look, I know this is terrifying, but running away from Jessica entirely might backfire. This way, you're in control. You set the boundaries. You protect your daughter while also being able to say you gave her mother a fair chance to prove she's changed. Ryan sat with that for a long moment. Olivia's hand found his under the table, squeezing gently. If I agree to this, I want everything in writing, everything. Times, locations, duration, terms for terminating the arrangement if it's not working. Ryan's voice was steady despite the fear churning in his gut. And Jessica doesn't get to just show up whenever she wants. This happens on my terms or not at all. Absolutely. I'll draft an agreement. Catherine made more notes. Give me 48 hours. In the meantime, don't agree to anything with Jessica directly. All communication goes through me. They wrapped up the meeting with Catherine, promising to send a draft agreement by Saturday. Outside in the parking garage, Ryan leaned against his car and tried to process everything. "You okay?" Olivia asked. "I just agreed to let my ex-wife who abandoned us meet our daughter. No, I'm not okay." "You agreed to explore a carefully controlled option that protects Ava while also covering your legal bases. That's different." Olivia stood in front of him. "And you don't have to decide anything right now. Catherine's drafting an agreement. You review it, think about it, decide if this is actually what you want. What if I'm making a huge mistake? Then we deal with it together." She touched his face. "But I don't think you are. I think you're being a good father who's trying to do the right thing in an impossible situation." Ryan pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. She smelled like expensive shampoo and coffee, and something that was just her. "How are you so calm about all of this?" "I'm not calm. I'm terrified. But one of us needs to be functional, and you're clearly falling apart, so I'm stepping up." "Fair point." They stood there for a moment, Ryan holding on to her like she was the only solid thing in a world that kept shifting under his feet. "Come over tonight," Olivia said quietly. "Both of you. I'll make dinner. Or order dinner. Let's be honest about my cooking skills. We'll watch a movie. Be normal for a few hours." "You don't have to." "I want to. Let me do this. Let me help. So Ryan picked up Ava from after-school care and drove to Olivia's apartment for the first time. The building was everything he expected. Doorman, elevator that actually worked, hallways that smelled like expensive cleaning products instead of Mrs. Chen's cooking. Olivia's apartment was on the 23rd floor, all windows and clean lines and furniture that looked uncomfortable but probably cost a fortune. Ava's eyes went wide. "Whoa! You can see everything from up here. Pretty good view, right?" Olivia crouched down to Ava's level. "Want to see the best part?" She led them to the windows where the entire city spread out below them like a map made of lights. Ava pressed her face to the glass, pointing out buildings and streets she recognized. "Can you see our apartment from here?" "Maybe, if you know where to look." They ordered pizza because Ava insisted it was the best dinner and Olivia didn't argue. They ate sitting on the floor of Olivia's living room because Ava said the fancy couch looked too clean to get pizza on. They watched an animated movie about talking fish that Ava had seen 17 times but still insisted was the best movie ever made. Halfway through, Ava fell asleep with her head in Ryan's lap and her feet in Olivia's. The movie kept playing, but neither of them was watching anymore. "This is nice," Olivia said quietly. "Yeah, it is. I could get used to this. Pizza on the floor, animated movies, kid drool on my expensive pants." Ryan looked down at Ava, then at Olivia. "She's drooling on your pants?" "Little bit. I don't mind." Olivia smiled. "She's worth it." "You really mean that?" "I wouldn't say it if I didn't." She reached over Ava to take Ryan's hand. "I know this is fast. I know we're probably doing everything backwards, but I can see a future here. With you, with Ava, with this. Even with all the drama, ex-wives showing up, legal battles, single dad baggage. Especially with all of that, because that's real life, Ryan. It's messy and complicated and nothing like the perfect picture I thought I wanted. But it's better. You're better." Ryan felt something settle in his chest, something that felt a lot like peace. "I love you." The words were out before he could stop them, hanging in the air between them. Olivia's eyes went wide. "You what?" "I love you. I know it's too soon and we're supposed to take things slow and I shouldn't be saying this with my daughter drooling on both of us, but I love you." Ryan squeezed her hand. "You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know." Olivia was quiet for a long moment, her eyes suspiciously bright. "I love you too. I think I have since you called me almost human in that parking lot." That's a weird moment to fall in love with someone. We're weird people. She leaned over carefully, kissing him without disturbing Ava. "I love you, and I love her, and I'm all in on this, whatever this becomes." They finished the movie with Ava asleep between them, the city lights twinkling outside, and for the first time in days, Ryan felt like maybe everything would actually be okay. Saturday brought Jessica's response to the proposed agreement. She accepted all the terms: supervised visits twice a month, child psychologist present, written documentation of each session. Either party could terminate with 30 days' notice. She even agreed to Ryan's addendum that Ava had to want the visits to continue, that her comfort took precedence over everything else. The first visit was scheduled for the following Saturday at a family therapy center downtown. Ryan spent the entire week preparing Ava, explaining who Jessica was, what to expect, making it clear that she didn't have to do this if she didn't want to. "But I want to meet her," Ava insisted. "I want to see if she's nice. And if she's not, we don't have to see her again, right?" "Right. This is completely your choice." "Okay, then I want to try." The therapy center was designed to be non-threatening. Bright colors, toys in the corner, comfortable chairs instead of clinical furniture. The psychologist, Dr. Sarah Chen, no relation to Mrs. Chen, though Ryan briefly wondered if there was a Chen conspiracy, met with Ava first to explain what was happening and make sure she felt safe. Jessica arrived exactly on time, looking nervous and hopeful in equal measure. She'd brought a gift, a stuffed dolphin that made Ryan want to laugh and cry simultaneously because, of course, Ava had somehow communicated her obsession with dolphins. The actual visit was supervised by Dr. Chen, with Ryan and Olivia watching through a one-way mirror. It was surreal watching his daughter meet her mother for the first time in her conscious memory. Jessica was gentle, asking questions, listening to Ava's rambling stories about soccer and school and her dad's terrible cooking. "She's doing well," Olivia murmured beside him. "Yeah, she is." After 30 minutes, Dr. Chen ended the session. Jessica hugged Ava goodbye, a careful, brief hug that respected Ava's space, and promised to see her again in 2 weeks if Ava wanted. "Did I do okay?" Ava asked Ryan afterward, clutching the dolphin. "You did great, sweetheart. How do you feel?" "Okay, I think." "She was nice. Kind of nervous, but nice." Ava looked up at him. "Can we go home now? I'm tired." They debriefed with Dr. Chen, who confirmed that the visit had gone well, that Ava seemed comfortable, that continuing might be beneficial as long as Ava remained willing. Over the next 2 months, the visits continued. Some went better than others. Jessica brought more dolphin-themed gifts that slowly took over Ava's room. She listened to stories about school and soccer and life with Ryan. She was patient when Ava had hard questions about why she left, giving age-appropriate answers about being sick and needing help. And slowly, carefully, something like a relationship began to form. Ryan watched it happen with a mixture of relief and grief. Relief that Ava was handling it well, that Jessica seemed genuinely changed, that maybe this could actually work. Grief for the years lost, the family that could have been, the simpler story he'd told himself about villains and heroes. "How are you doing with all this?" Olivia asked one night after a visit. They were at her apartment, Ava asleep in the guest room that had somehow become Ava's room over the past few weeks. "Honestly, I don't know. It's not what I expected." Ryan stared out at the city lights. "She's good with Ava. Patient, interested, present. Part of me hates that she's good at this after being gone so long. Part of me is grateful Ava gets to know her mother. Both things can be true." "Yeah, they can." He turned to face her. "Thank you for being here through all of this, for not running away when things got complicated." "I told you I was staying. I meant it." Olivia crossed the room to him. "Besides, complicated is interesting. Boring is, well, boring. Is that what we are? Interesting? We're a single dad, a CEO, a 6-year-old soccer player, and an ex-wife in recovery trying to rebuild a relationship. We're basically a soap opera." She smiled. "But yeah, interesting works." 3 months after that first visit, Dr. Chen recommended transitioning to unsupervised visits. Jessica had been consistent, stable, appropriate. Ava looked forward to seeing her. The relationship, while still fragile, was growing. Ryan agreed, with conditions. Visits stayed public: parks, museums, restaurants. Jessica's therapist confirmed ongoing treatment, and most importantly, Ava had veto power. If she ever felt uncomfortable, the visit stopped immediately. Jessica accepted everything without argument. 6 months in, on a Saturday afternoon at the park, Ryan watched Jessica push Ava on the swings while Olivia sat beside him on a bench. "Higher!" Ava shrieked, laughing. "You're already touching the sky," Jessica called back, but she pushed harder anyway. "That's your ex-wife," Olivia observed. "Yeah. And you're okay with this?" Ryan thought about it. Really thought about it. "I'm not okay with what she did. I don't think I'll ever be okay with that. But watching Ava laugh like that, watching her have a relationship with her mother, yeah, I'm okay with this. Good, because I have something to tell you. Olivia's voice was carefully neutral. Ryan looked at her. What? I bought a house. Well, I put an offer on a house. 4 bedrooms, big backyard, good school district. It's in that neighborhood you mentioned liking. She paused. I was thinking maybe you and Ava would want to move in. Eventually, when you're ready. Ryan stared at her. You bought a house. Technically, not yet. The offer's still pending, but yes. Because of us? Because of us. Because I'm tired of living in an apartment that echoes. Because Ava needs a yard for her dolphin astronaut training program. Because I want a life with you, and that life needs space for all of us. Olivia took his hand. What do you think? I think you're insane. That's not an answer. I think... Ryan pulled her close, kissing her there on the park bench while his daughter played with her mother in the background. I think yes. When you're ready, when the house is ready, yes. Yeah? Yeah. Ava came running over, breathless and happy. Daddy, did you see how high I went? Jessica says I'm going to be a professional swing athlete. That's not a real thing, baby girl. It could be. Right, Coach Olivia? Absolutely. I'll sponsor your training. Olivia grinned. But first, how about ice cream? My treat. They walked to the ice cream shop. Ryan, Olivia, Ava, and Jessica trailing slightly behind. It should have been awkward. It should have been impossible. But somehow, it worked. Because family wasn't about perfection or clean stories or everyone fitting into neat boxes. It was about showing up. It was about doing the hard work of loving people even when they made mistakes. It was about building something real from broken pieces. A year later, Ryan stood in the backyard of Olivia's house. Their house now, watching Ava teach Jessica the corner kick technique Olivia had taught her. Morgan was inside helping Olivia with dinner preparations. The two of them bonding over their shared frustration with Ryan's inability to follow a recipe. Martinez and his family had been invited. Mrs. Chen too, though she'd insisted on bringing enough food to feed a small army. Thompson was there with his wife, celebrating the fact that the loading dock safety protocols had reduced injuries by 47%. It was chaos. It was loud. It was nothing like the quiet, controlled life Ryan had imagined for himself all those years ago. It was perfect. Dad, Ava called. Come help me show Jessica the dolphin spin move. The what now? The move I invented. Come on. Ryan jogged over, leaving his beer on the patio table. Olivia caught his eye through the kitchen window and he smiled back. And for just a moment, everything was exactly right. Because this was what mattered. Not the corporate ladder, or the perfect plan, or the life he thought he was supposed to want. Just this. A daughter who knew she was loved, a partner who showed up every single day, and a future that was messy and complicated and absolutely worth fighting for. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and Ava was asleep upstairs in her new room with its own window seat and everything, Ryan and Olivia sat on the back porch watching fireflies. You know what I was thinking? Olivia said. What? About that blind date. About how we both wanted to run away the second we saw each other. Worst idea Morgan and Claire ever had. Or the best one. Olivia leaned against him. Imagine if we'd actually left. If we'd been too scared or too stubborn to stay. I try not to imagine that. Me neither, because all of this, started with us being brave enough to survive one awkward dinner. She took his hand. Sometimes the best things come from the worst beginnings. Ryan thought about that. About Jessica showing up and nearly destroying everything. About the legal battles and the supervised visits and the slow, painful work of forgiveness. About Olivia standing beside him through all of it, never wavering, never running. Yeah, he said finally. Sometimes they do. Above them, stars were appearing in the darkening sky. Inside, Ava was probably dreaming about dolphin astronauts. In California, Jessica was building a life that included regular visits and video calls with a daughter who was learning to trust her. In the kitchen, dirty dishes waited to be cleaned, and tomorrow's problems waited to be solved. But right now, in this moment, everything was exactly as it should be, and Ryan Mercer, single father turned family man, allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, the best was yet to come. Because love wasn't about perfect timing or ideal circumstances. It was about showing up, even when showing up was hard. It was about choosing each other, day after day, in the big moments and the small ones. It was about that blind date he never wanted, the CEO who terrified him, and the daughter who taught him that family was something you built, not something you were born into. It was about all of it, the messy, complicated, beautiful reality of a life lived fully, with all its scars and second chances and unexpected grace. And as Olivia's hand tightened in his, and a shooting star streaked across the sky, Ryan made a wish, not for perfection, not for easy answers, just for more of this. More mornings and evenings and ordinary moments that added up to something extraordinary. More of the life he'd stumbled into by accident and chosen to keep on purpose. More of everything that mattered.